ready to go. 40 minutes from crowning a champion. Cano. Go! It's a three! McKinney to drive. McKinney takes it in. Put down by Johnson. Is a trailer. Johnson with hands. Knocked out of there. Caravan with the thievery. Caravan drives it all the way. Lamb goes in traffic. Saves it for Gale. Off the drive. McKinney sets the feet. Fires. Connects. A big one for McKinney. Smith. Length of the floor. Layup doesn't go. Ball knocked around. Flung down the floor. Caravan trying to track it down. And he will. And it's over. Hail to the champions. Hail to Michigan. For the first time in 37 years, the Wolverines win the national title.
Well, if you told me we could shoot it this poorly, get dominated on the glass, and still find a way to win, I don't know if I would have believed you. But this team's just found a way all season.
The Ride with JMV, 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, good for Dusty May. Michigan, the national champions, and it was not the Mona Lisa. It was not a portrait in basketball greatness. My friend BT Dew brought this up a little bit earlier today, and he said, hey, I think you need to bring back the question of the day and then ask whether or not that game was any good last night. And one, it depends on which team you were rooting for, which team you were watching or wanting to win, where your allegiance might be. Or other than that, it probably was, because it was not picturesque. And I think it goes to show you just how much of that game was played because UConn wanted to wreck it. That was their strategy. Their strategy was to wreck the tempo and wreck the game, to muddy it up. They felt that they could not compete end to end. I thought that Lindeborg was so compromised too. He was a shell. He also called himself out for being soft after that first half. He's a really good player, but really not a lot of those guys had a great night last night. So, yeah, if we were going to ask that, we can do that. Obviously, we have the text line at 317-239-1070. Here's what's going to happen now if it already hasn't happened. And I'm readily aware and understand this. And I'm surprised it didn't happen last night, but at some point it will. I'm sure once we get to next year, it's going to happen. Much like you're going to see with Curt Cignetti. And you've seen that already with people that get tired of it, get tired of hearing about him, get tired of hearing about the greatness and what he has done. And then all of a sudden now you take those bangers, those shots, you start ripping. That's what social media is made for. And social media really is just built for a nation full of jackasses. It is. It's informational at times, but for the most part, there's a lot more jackassery than there is information and fun-loving tempo going on there. But that's where we're going to be, because Curt Cignetti is already living in that particular world of, you know what, he has been so good and so good quickly. We're sick and tired of hearing about how good he is, so let's go ahead and flip the script and start saying how bad he is. And that's the same thing that's going to happen to Dusty May. And they're going to flip it and go, oh, yeah, and you already see it. I get this guy is fake nice and he's slimy. He's not fake anything. All you got to do is ask me. He is not fake anything. Now, I will tell you, much like anybody else, and you have to be the biggest dumbass of a coach in the history of dumbass coaches, not to live in this world and this environment that is college athletics and not do your best to put together your best team. Every team is going to be mercenaries. That's no longer a bad word. And it used to be a bad word in terms of professional sports, of the NFL and free agency. It used to be a dirty word. Was it LaRon Landry that came here? Who was it that came here that they got the Colts safety, and he was viewed as a mercenary? Now, you want your mercenaries to be better and be able to play more than that. But that is just, you are doing what you can to make the best out of this situation. And you're probably not going to apologize to anybody. And you're going to have those that have really good players that everybody is going to go after, and then others are going to be butthurt because you're going after it. And again, you can't be apologetic about it because you have to build your team as best as possible. Now, this is not like the old school days where, there's a cheater and a rules breaker. Now, it is a massive jump ball. Go out and get the best guys for your team. Now, we'll say this. The other aspect now, since we're fully involved in the transfer portal with over 1,000 dudes already in it, the world in which we live now, you have to be very careful. If you have the resources, if you have the cash, you have to be very careful how you proceed. It is great. You got all that cash, and I'm going to float it around. We're going to get this guy. He averaged 17 and a half there, and he was a mid-major all-star, and he was a D2 all-star. These guys, this is going to be great. Look at all the points these guys score, and then they get together, and they can't play with themselves. Or barely could do that. That is one thing in this era, like it or not, of college athletics that gets so lost in the shuffle. Whether you're talking about IU football and the resources that Scott Dolson utilized and Kurt Cignetti utilized to put together a national championship team, or what Dusty May did at Michigan, it does come down to the guys that you select, the guys that are on your team. Because you can have the most money, you can spend the most money out there, but if you don't do it wisely, if you don't put together the right guys, you are hosed. And then it's going to look even worse because, hey, where'd all this money go? It's funny, with IU basketball, there are dudes from the team a year ago in the transfer portal, and it's so weird. I don't know if I've ever been in this situation in my life. There are guys I've never heard of going to the transfer. I go, what? It's like Indiana State 2 years ago. Yeah, I knew the 5 starters or the 6 main players that Josh Schertz had on his team. But who are these other guys that are going in the transfer? I've never heard of these guys in my life. Like, IU's got some guys going, like, oh, yeah, great. Like, I've never heard of them. My philosophy, as I mentioned to you guys yesterday with Indiana State, is this. When Nathan Christensen, their director of athletics, came on Friday live at the Slippery Noodle and said, hey, everybody's in the transfer portal. All of our guys are gone. I think he said maybe one guy was coming back. But hell, I think this Derek Vorse guy just went into the transfer. He's 6'10", and like I'm drastically quicker than he is. And my philosophy is this. I watched you guys, and you guys sucked all last year, so get the hell out. Yeah, go someplace else. Go someplace else and play. You know, other than the kid from Plainfield who is done, everybody go because you guys weren't any good last year. Good. Just go someplace else. That's my philosophy now. But again, you can spend all that money and have all those resources, and you can select stratospherically the wrong guys for your team. And that's going to make it even worse. I get it. A lot of people are kind of down on it now. You're down on it because it's not the way that it used to be. You're down on it because of, I guess, the havoc, the so-called havoc that it has created. But let's face it, we would probably be more hardcore against it. Or let's just say you would right now if you didn't see the most incredible change last fall and last winter in sports history as you did with IU football. And that is all built upon the philosophies now that we have in college athletics. Like it, loathe it, you got to lump it. And you better get started. Like somebody mentioned to me earlier today, hey, why don't you call Dusty and get Dusty on? Like Dusty at 12:01 was dealing with transfer. I guarantee you that. You snooze and you lose. And the one thing I didn't realize, and you guys are trying to get me to not bang on the state of Michigan any longer. Believe me, they know. Everybody knows. I took a picture with a bunch of my high school friends downtown last night before the game, and they're all decked out in maize and blue. It was really weird, for one. They were all decked out in maize and blue, and everybody asked, why do you bang on Michigan so much? And I've had to explain that absolutely I've just never been a big fan of the state of Michigan. I can't help it. But I am a big fan of a longtime friend. And friendships to me are something that will last. And this is one of the reasons why you at some point, and maybe some don't, but I think most do, you at some point make a transition from, wannabe hot take artist to just looking at the way you should look at it. And I do value relationships. I value relationships on a day-to-day basis that we have with one another, and I value those relationships with people I have on the show, and I sure as hell value those relationships that I have going back 40 years. So that's a little bit different, and that does bypass my thoughts of the state of Michigan in the past. It is weird, don't get me wrong. It was weird to see everybody that I grew up with decked out in maize and blue yesterday. Incredibly weird. And everybody being from Bloomington. But it's the way that it is, and it really is a new era. You have to find your own spot in this. I'm assuming some of you have probably detached yourself a great deal and said enough is enough. I used to be able to separate the so-called amateur athletics from the professional athletics, and I no longer can. So I'm done with it. And I've said this before. It's my job, and I dig my job, and I very much like this. But in terms of basketball, I don't really care what level of basketball it is. I enjoy watching it. It's just the game itself that is fun, and it's going to be fun and enjoyable regardless of the circumstances until I'm dead. True story. That is the way that I was built. I wish I was built that way when it actually mattered to be built that way, but better late than never, I guess, right? That is where we are today. I did want to give a shout out to Braylon Mullins. As I mentioned to Jake during the Love Heating and Air crossover a little bit earlier, love-hvac.com today. Make sure your system is checked up to get ready for those inbound consistently warmer temperatures. Again, love-hvac.com. But I was talking to Jake about Braylon Mullins, and I really enjoy the guys. Like when Lindeborg talked about his game at the half and playing soft, and he's injured, he's compromised, you know that, but he's out there, and there's going to be a level of expectation if you're going to be out there. I like the honesty there, and I like the honesty and the emotion of Braylon Mullins after the game. What it means. That is cool to me, because I think most of us out there would beg, borrow, and steal for an opportunity like this, or to be talented like that, to be able to work and put yourself in that particular position. And listening to Braylon after the game last night talk about, the game, the moment, the season, how meaningful it was, man, that hits you if you're a basketball fan. Yet another reason, even if you don't make the shots at the clip that you normally do, because when you make shots, everybody says, well, he's from Indiana, he makes shots. Well, people from Indiana also can miss shots. But the one thing we understand, basketball players from this particular state, is how much they love the game itself. Why else are you still playing when you're 56? Why else do you care so much when you're this age? Why do you care so much at any particular age? It's just the way we are built. It's woven into our fabric around here. Make or miss, the love is always going to be there. And UConn did last night really the only thing that Dan Hurley felt that they could do to give themselves an opportunity. I didn't know if I felt that they had a chance. Down 4, with an opportunity to do something, and then Michigan turned you back defensively. Never thought that they were going to win, but I thought that, and it almost sounds like you're talking about like an 8 or 9 seed, not a 2 seed either. That's how good Michigan, up until that point, was playing. And tempo-wise, strategically speaking, what Dan Hurley and UConn did, they clouded things up. And they made it difficult for Michigan. And they felt that was the only thing they're going to be capable of doing. And that's exactly what they did. So to get back to the original question that BT do ask, if there were a question of the day, if last night was any sort of masterpiece of basketball, it absolutely was not. But it was somebody's masterpiece. I'm assuming for Dusty May and those around him and those fans of Michigan, it was an absolute masterpiece. And for UConn, to me, going there, if you're Dan Hurley, and going there 3 out of the last 4, having the potential to win it all 3 out of the last 4, that is some rarefied air. So, yep, the up and down, the shot-making ability, all that we call great basketball could be better. But sometimes I would say, and I would challenge BT, great basketball is made of the circumstances. And obviously, UConn had some things to deal with last night to try to give themselves an opportunity. And they muddied that up enough and brought Michigan down to at least give themselves a puncher's opportunity. And they did just that. Right up until the Trey McKinney made 3. McKinney, that kid, he is going to be an absolute pain. He's going to get even better and better. If you're looking at that Michigan team, that kid is probably one of my favorites from that particular Michigan team, the freshman from Flint. Hey, good player. Transfer portal officially open. We have now ESPN, I guess they've had this for a while, the transfer tracker. It is much easier to track those that have not transferred than it will be those that are. Basically, every North Carolina player, I guess, right now is in the transfer portal. I think everybody but Joe Wolf. They're all in here. Now, it says 7 Carolina players have entered the transfer portal or announced their intentions. Now, these guys, there's 7 dudes in this category, and there's one guy that has averaged over 6 points a game in this group. Everybody is trying to find their spot. Yeah, we'll keep you updated on that. It is the form of free agency that a lot of you absolutely love. Thoroughly enjoy, you do. All right, national championship game from last night. We can go on that question of the day if you guys would like to do that. We can do it. Pacers, Minnesota coming up later on tonight. 6:30 your coverage begins here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Down the stretch for the regular season as it is ready to end. Pacers, Timberwolves tonight. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Chris Welsh of the Reds TV. I think it's called Reds TV now, right? Reds TV. Luckily, I get that. I know Chris, I believe, is on the road with the Reds. 4 consecutive wins to start the season. And if you know this, I always try to take advantage of when the Reds are playing well because it normally is few and far between. So we'll take that advantage with Chris and talk about their start of the season coming up here a little bit later on in the show. And I believe he's going to be on with Hammer and Nigel. So we're going to slide Drew Storen in here, the former major leaguer, in a little bit when we see him walk back by. And we'll talk up a lot of things, too. He is going to be at the Fan Golf Outing coming up on April the 30th, presented by Franciscan Health. If you have yet to sign up, it is one incredible idea that you do sign up. I have seen it. It is close to an all-out sellout. I promise you a good time, and I deliver on the good times. I don't deliver on a lot of other stuff. I can mess up from saying, I can screw up things, don't get me wrong, but I will deliver on a good time for this. Eating, drinking, playing golf. What did I say? The word I was using, my buzzword is fellowship. A high level of fellowship is what we're going to have, which should be great. And then, oh, by the way, too, we're going to have a goal out there for anybody that suggests that they can shoot better than me or beat me in a shooting contest. Your opportunity is going to be there. In fact, we'll talk to Ted Bishop about that and the Masters coming up this weekend. You know, it's funny. I guess it's just how you're built, how you're wired. A lot of people would suggest best weekend on the sports calendar. I would suggest it's just kind of there, and it's on, and it's a reason for you to sit on your ass all weekend, really. It's just, that to me is what the Masters is all about, a really good reason to not do anything and to watch. That starts, and we shall get to that. Ted Bishop's going to join us later on this week. We'll talk about that. You guys are asking me who I'm going to go with. The dude is from Sweden. I believe his name, James. You'll have to check on this. And I'm sure we could get with Jim Romanek because we do have, you have to check who won our bracket, too, because somebody's on the restock. We'll have to get with our guy, Jim Romanek. We may be able to do something in terms of golfers, maybe. Ludwig Aberg, is that how you pronounce his name? Don't get that confused with former serve and volley tennis great Stefan Edberg. Ludwig Aberg. Is he from Sweden? I believe that is in, just like my brackets, I'll probably screw this thing entirely. James, am I right about that? Ludwig?
He is from Sweden.
Is his name Ludwig Aberg?
That is how it is spelled. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced.
Ludwig. That's how it's pronounced in my world, by God, let me tell you. Ludwig Aberg. Who's with me on Ludwig Aberg? How long has it been since we've had a Masters without Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson? Does that go back to the 90s? Ludwig Aberg. We might have to think about that, James. Maybe we can come up with.
Apparently, it's Ludwig Oberg is
Oberg?
how it's pronounced.
It
yeah.
looks like Aberg to me, by God.
Yeah, it looks
Is
like
that
an
a big
A, but I
A
guess
right there. I've never heard.
It is a big A, but I guess in Sweden that's an O
What the
sound.
hell kind of Scandinavian world are we in when A is pronounced O? What? Come on, Scandinavia. Sweden. Kramer reference right there. Oberg. I can't pronounce it Oberg.
So
I can't do it.
According to the video I just watched, when he is saying it in Swedish, it's Oberg, but when he is saying it in English, it's Aberg.
What happens when you say it in Green County?
I have no idea.
Aberg. Aberg. Ludwig. I like it too because normally it's Ludwig and a W, but it's got a V right there. We might figure out a way to put something together for you with our friend Jim Romanek. James, by the way, you got to check out who ended up winning. I think I saw somebody reference winning our fan bracket challenge. I don't know what they were winning on the fan bracket challenge. I just know with us, it is the bracket of booze. That's just simply put how we roll right there. That is it. JMV, Dusty liked JMV better when he was fat and humble. I think I'm humble. What am I not humble about? Fat and humble. Was I humble? It's outstanding. Rakestraw's on the other side. So Miles Colvin is back in the transfer portal. I'm not suggesting he's going to go back to Purdue. He's probably looking for even more money. But how many Boilermaker fans out there would say, yeah, that's a hell of a plan? Yeah, I'd like that. Anybody out there like that if you're a Boilermaker fan, or would you say no? I'm not suggesting at all he will. Who knows what anybody has in mind other than getting paid. You're either wanting to get paid or you're wanting more of an opportunity. That's it. Paid or more of an opportunity. More of a chance to score. Therefore, if you have years remaining after that, you can create yourself more of a financial opportunity. That's very humble. Yes, I'm fat and humble. How many Boilermaker fans would take him back? See, Derek Phillips says it's also pronounced Oberg. There's no way I'm going to live in a world where I pronounce Aberg Oberg. None. Zero. JMV, the world is ending and IU missed on Dusty. Jake asked that question a little bit earlier. I've never had this conversation with him. But I'm betting if all things considered, if the opportunity was given, that he would take it. He is in a great spot for himself, and I think his next coaching job will be in the NBA. This is just my thought. If he ever leaves Michigan, it's going to be NBA time. But I'd be hard-pressed to believe that he would not have if it would have been offered. And the fact remains, evidently, Louisville lowballed it. Because I initially thought, yeah, not too far from where we grew up. Maybe Louisville's it. But obviously, Michigan has made the most sense, and there are certainly results to match that. Quick break, we'll come back. The stream, the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Greg Rakestraw, Drew Storen, Chris Welch. The formerly fat and humble dude is going to be around here until 6 o'clock. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge. Become a AAA member today. That is AAA.com. Shout out to our friend Matt Goins. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
50 years ago today, the quote was, "Don't jump in the pool, Engelberg. You might flood the valley." What film am I talking about, James? Crank this up. 50 years ago today. "Don't jump in the pool, Engelberg. You might flood the valley." The manager, the coach's name was Morris Buttermaker, the late, great Walter Matthau, James. Bad News Bears, 1976, 50 years ago today.
It's
One of the great sports, often lost in the shuffle, but one of the great sports movies that outlines really a precursor to some of the jackassery we see in youth sports today. Some of it.
Is it bad that this is the first time I've ever even heard
This
of that
is
movie?
incredibly awful. You may never recover from not knowing nor seeing this film before.
Bad News Bears, you
Yeah,
said?
and they had a remake with Billy Bob Thornton, but come on, man. Bad News Bears, Walter Matthau, Tatum O'Neal, this date back in 1976. I challenge you to watch it. It is great. It is far from politically correct for that era, but it is great. This date in 76.
I'll have to add it to my list.
Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. We have added him to our list. Greg Rakestraw, he joins us. And Greg, as the list of those inside the transfer portal continues to grow. I asked this of Boilermaker fans a little bit earlier. We see Miles Colvin back in there. Of course, a year this past in Winston-Salem for Wake Forest, a former Boilermaker. Dad was a former Boilermaker. Is there any chance whatsoever? He's going to go for more money, but would Boilermaker fans at all want him back?
I think if he wanted to come back, I don't think Boilermaker fans would have a big deal against it because it's not like the team truly suffered without him. I don't think Purdue fans treated it as like he turned their back on them. I don't think he'll be back here, but I don't think it would be held against him if he wanted to come back.
Last night, the game, somebody had asked, BT Do had said, put a question up here. How enjoyable was the game? And my thought was it depends on the so-called lens in which you viewed last night. For those that had no rooting interest, the basketball up and down, seamless, was not there. But for Dusty May and Michigan and those in maize and blue, the outcome was, and that would make it great to them.
It was an interesting game for me because I was kind of happy in either direction.
Yeah.
There's the obvious tie you have to Dusty. There's the fact that a Big Ten team has won a championship for the first time in 26 years. The fact that Big Ten now has the current football, men's, and women's basketball national champs. So there's that obvious storyline. Or it would have been literally a buddy of mine's son was a starter on a national championship team in terms of Braylon Mullins. So it was unique going into a game where I'm like, not that I don't care, I don't like either team. I don't care because I can kind of smile either way. I feel like, I'm going to win regardless of how things played out. I heard this stat shared at one point in time last night, and my guess is you could probably figure out what the other game is. I think this was shaping up as like the second lowest combined field goal percentage for a national championship game since 1950. Can you figure out what the other game was, John?
Butler, UConn.
Yeah, nailed it. Yes, that would be the worst.
Because that was a tough watch, even though everybody had a rooting interest. It was that did have the feeling of last night, no doubt.
That was painful.
Yeah.
Last night's game was obviously more competitive, and if Michigan had not been so otherworldly in how they played against Arizona and what their percentages were on Saturday night, people would be chirping about, well, they should be playing in front of that many people, stadiums, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just one of those nights where kind of that's the way things played out. I thought UConn did a great job of trying to, and I mean this in a complimentary fashion, muck up the game and slow it down as best they could, knowing they couldn't match Michigan in terms of pure horsepower. and Michigan still won the game anyway.
Greg Raystraws on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I know how I feel about Dusty May. I'm curious how you feel about him as a coach. And obviously, people look at him as winning, going to the Final Four of the Florida Atlantic. I think at times things that get lost in the shuffle would be his insight to what is about to happen, and then his response and reaction to things that were happening, meaning what he does to make adjustments. What stands out to you as kind of an innocent bystander in all this?
Well, it's great that the guy from the mid-major background got the look at the major opportunity. That doesn't always work well, and clearly this has in a remarkable fashion. And there is the obvious, parallel you can draw with Curt Cignetti. Michigan clearly has had a lot more success historically in men's basketball than Indiana has had in football. But still to go from 8 wins to national championship in 2 seasons is pretty jaw-dropping. It's very impressive. But to me, it's just about and I think the parallel that maybe is the most significant between the two of them, because the landscape is changing so quickly. Who's the smartest guy in the room that can figure out the new rules before anybody else does? In football, that guy's Curt Cignetti. And in basketball, clearly that guy seems to be Dusty May, because, again, when you can kind of restart every year if you need to, he is the guy that has figured out how to put the pieces together better than anybody else currently. So I do think there's more alike than not alike, even if how those guys go about their job can come across a bit different.
I think the common denominator in both coaches in this case would be their selection process, because they both have the resources, the finances to do something with it. That has been clear, but it also comes down to, this has even more bearing than really anything else we're talking about here. It's those that you select to be a part of your team, and both clearly have done that at an elite level.
And recruiting is recruiting. It's you're recruiting a different style of player, a different age of player. But there is seemingly more about being, and I know that some programs have a general manager. I think now being a head coach in college basketball is as much about being a general manager as it is being a head coach. And again, that applies to both those two gentlemen we've been talking about.
Greg Raystraws, kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So who do you think, like IU with Cignetti in football, or Michigan with Dusty May in basketball, who has more of an opportunity to be back to close to the way they were as national champions a year ago? Who might that be? Go fast forward next year. Fast forward next year. Yeah.
Right. I would almost lean towards Cignetti, just because I think it is a harder turn, which again makes what he has accomplished all the more impressive. Because in basketball, you got to have the right 7 or 8 guys. In football, you got to have the right 58 to 68 guys. And so there's probably fewer programs that can mimic what Indiana has done as compared to Michigan. And again, it's not to minimize what Dusty May has done. It's just it's a much quicker turn to do that in basketball, which makes the job that Curt Cignetti has done all the more remarkable.
He is Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. As far as Ronald Norred moving forward with Butler, the Boilermakers moving forward without the 4-year trio that we're so used to watching, or starting new at IU, starting all over again at Indiana State. How do you like these teams cobbling together their new squads and what they may look like coming up in 26 and 27? Any thoughts on that? Very early thoughts on that.
Right. But Butler, it's too soon to kind of know exactly what they're going to look like. Jalen Jackson obviously has said he's planning on returning. Most others have said they're going to go start over. I know that Butler's resources was about $5 million last year. Seemingly it's going to be more than that this year. How does that compare with the rest of the Big East? Time will tell. But I almost think it's too inconclusive for Butler. From a Purdue standpoint, I think we'll at least have a better idea. And about, incoming recruits like a Luke Ertl. About incoming transfers like, Alec Pierce's brother that is going to be there. key pieces that you think will return as far as this Purdue basketball team is concerned. And simply put, they're just farther up the food chain right now. Clearly in one of the two power leagues, for all of college athletics, and probably three, you would say, in terms of college basketball. And so, well, yes, it is a significant change for Purdue, and it's not almost the lock that it felt like this year. You still feel good about the overall health of the program, and obviously have a world of respect for the guy that runs the show, with the idea of, hey, until proven otherwise, you're pretty sure he's going to figure this out.
I saw where a lot of IU players, a lot of local players, collegiately and otherwise, were out working out for the pro day with the Colts today. How many guys from IU do you envision being drafted in the draft coming up later on this month?
I think you're looking at 8 or 9, which is a staggering number
It is.
to say. Obviously Fernando's going to go 1. It certainly seems that Omar Cooper's going to go in the back end of the first round. I think you're looking at 3 or 4 guys that are probably at least first 2-day draft picks. But I really think you're looking at 8 to 9 players that will hear their name called at some point in time in Pittsburgh between Thursday through Saturday.
Got to get Omar Cooper Jr. back on this show at some point, too. That'd
Yes,
be
you
nice.
do.
Hey, quickly, collegiate baseball-wise, is anybody any good around here?
Indiana State is better than they were last year.
Okay. What's that saying? Is that saying a lot?
They are not what they were in 23 or 24, where they were legitimately a top 25 or top 30 team, if not better than that, since they were one of the last 16 teams left standing in 2023. Better they were last year. They're second currently in the Valley. They're 1 game back of Murray State. Not what they were 2 years ago, but they might find themselves in the NCAA field. They'd have to win their way through the Valley tournament to be able to do that. RPI-wise, I think they're about 150 the last that I saw. But they are a better team than they were at this time last year. And frankly, the last 3 times they have played Big Ten teams, they have wins against Illinois, Purdue, and Indiana, respectively. They're 5-1 against the Big Ten in total. Ball State has some nice wins in the Mid-American Conference level. Small college level, Marion might have their best team in 20 years. They're second currently in their league. But in terms of, is anybody as good as Indiana State was in 23 or 24, or is IU as good as they have been over the years, or say back to the Kyle Schwarber days, et cetera? No, nobody is of that level in the state this year.
Next week, we will target those at the high school level and talk a little high school baseball. Maybe even mix in some Reds with you coming up next week, too, Greg. I appreciate you, pal.
Well, it's our best start in 5 years, by God. We can talk Reds anytime
Hey,
you want,
Chris
sir.
Welch is coming on. I'm taking advantage of the time when the time is right now when they're good. So we're getting him on today for that reason.
Would you like a fun fact that I learned
Yes.
via Facebook this morning to
I would.
close out our conversation?
Yes.
Okay. Not only do Dusty May and I share a birthday, we were born the exact same date. So little did you know, as a 7-year-old hopping around the wilds of eastern Greene County, that you had not one but 2 friends that were born
That's beautiful.
on the exact same date. And so I'd like to officially welcome, Dusty May into the Birthday Club of Awesomeness, knowing that he and I share birthdays with Tiger Woods, who's 1 year older than us. Tiger, we wish him all the best from a rehab standpoint. Sandy Koufax, LeBron James, locally Tony George. You can expand to A.J. Pierzynski. The awesomeness of the December 30th Birthday Club continues with Dusty's coaching acumen from last night.
That is beautiful right there. And by the way, one of his schoolmates, classmates, sent me a picture of Dusty May playing on a 5th grade basketball team at Eastern at the elementary school, and his wife Anna is a cheerleader right in front of him in 5th grade. It is pretty funny to see that picture.
That's awesome.
Pretty awesome. All right, pal. I appreciate you.
See you, John.
Greg Rakestraw's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What time is Chris on the show, James? 4? All right, and I think we may squeeze in Drew Storen here in the 4 o'clock hour, and he can talk to Chris as well. I think Drew is lurking in the building. So, Chris Welch, Drew Storen, still to come. You and I, rest of the way, 239-1070. You guys can work in your calls, too. Transfer portal stuff, national championship game with Michigan, the winner. We can get anything you want to as we approach the NFL draft, the end of the regular season for the Pacers, and, as I like to say, stuff like that. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. John, for the District Tap, 2 locations, north side, downtown Indy. Let's just say, for example, you're hitting up the Pacer game later on tonight. I'm about hanging out at the District Tap. The District Tap's got you covered. TVs everywhere. We're talking happy hour specials, damn good food, all that and more. And don't forget about the north side location at Clearwater Crossing. Michael has something going special. And it is 2 locations of the District Tap. Ask about the live music, the event space, the catering, all that. It all encompasses the greatness of the District Tap. Find out more online at thedistricttap.com. Hey, Johnny here for LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. The best you're going to find out there with Lance and his local team. This time of year, a lot of rainfall, saturated ground, standing water. You don't want it. You don't want it in and around your home to make sure your drains are clog-free. With LD Smith Plumbing and Drains at 317-927-7186, you also want to make sure your sump pump is working accurately and you have an efficient battery backup. Let's just say, for example, it's of the older nature. I replaced mine 2 months ago. Maybe it's time to look into that with the great deals that Lance and his local team have right now at LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. Simply put, the absolute best. Go with them whenever you need anything plumbing-wise at 317-927-7186 online, ldsmithplumbing.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, look, hey, everybody, come on in, everybody. Come on in. Thank you. Hammer and Nigel's here. Jess Gabbitt's in the house. Drew Storen's going to sit in front of a microphone and yap. You know, Chris Welch is going to join us coming up here at the top of the hour. 2 pitchers getting together here. We'll get Drew on the horn with us. I believe we've got a little Field of Dreams in studio with us right now, too. By the way, Greg Rakestraw, podcast 1075thefan.com. Ted Bishop later on this week. Behringer's South Meridian, our guy Rob and the gang on Friday. That is a must-attend event. But in studio, it is one Drew Storen. A Field of Dreams, the All-Star edition I see boxed up and loaded. How you doing, brothers?
I am excellent. And you?
You playing in the golf outing down in Franklin?
Yes.
You're going to shoot against me?
Yes.
You talked a little bit of junk. You're going to have to back it up now.
I got to dial it in. I mean, I hear you talking nothing but junk about your
Well,
game,
I mean,
so.
I've also shown you've seen the video of it,
Yeah,
so it does exist.
Too many times.
I'm not. I used to be, according to people, I used to be fat and humble. I'm no longer that anymore.
Well, that's all right.
So.
People change.
Fat and humble. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Just digging out from spring break with the fam, and
Where'd you guys go?
did a little cruise. So 7-day cruise through the Caribbean, and
Well, what sites did we see on this 7-day cruise?
St. Martin and St. Thomas.
That is nice down there.
It was.
Did
nice.
you disembark and
Did.
get? Yes.
Yeah, did a little bit of that. Just did some kind of unimpressive snorkeling, more of just
Oh,
hanging
really?
Yeah, just kind of
Did you see anything cool while you were
No.
snorkeling?
nothing. Saw the bar. That was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Did you vacation at a place that had a swim up bar?
Yes. Yeah, I had it on the ship. So
Oh, they had a swim up bar on the ship. And so, did you observe the people sitting there and how often they got up to pee? Because there's nobody getting up to pee from that. Everybody's just peeing right where they sit.
yeah, there's definitely that water was quite cloudier at the end of the day.
You have to chlorine by those stools that are underwater. You have to chlorinate it big time.
Oh yeah. Oh, there you go.
No, it's problematic because there's no way you're going to sit there and continuously drink poolside in the pool at a bar pool and for a 7-hour period not get up and go to the bathroom.
And that's high price real estate too. When you're talking on a cruise, any seat on a cruise is high price real estate.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So how are things going with Field of Dreams?
We're good. Everything's good. We came out with at the very end of last year, but kind of didn't have a time to promote it. But this is our all-star whiskey. So
hey, now it's an all-star.
That's right. So
we got a new bottle.
Oh yeah.
Well, whose idea was this?
Well, everybody's.
Big Chair is going to say it was his idea.
Yeah, that's right.
How many ideas does a Big Chair come up with, by the way?
He's got a few.
This? He does.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. He's in it now.
Yeah,
That's good to hear.
Yeah, he's always, him. He's a big trivia numbers guy. So this is right up his alley.
So what do you got working here?
Yeah. So this is the largest blend of whiskey in the history of whiskey. So
sit that out there. James, can we see that on camera? The Field of Dreams, we can see it. Tell everybody about it, what they're looking at.
Yeah, so 51% of the juice in this bottle is ours. And then we actually went to every major league market and got a barrel from a craft distiller there. So Sagamore in Baltimore, Old Potrero, like some big boys that not only sold us a barrel, but let us talk about it on the back label. So kind of a cool thing.
Holy crap.
If you think of it like a normal all-star team, we have a 1-year barrel from Arizona that turbo cooked, in the desert. So there's your rookie, and you got the veteran and the 25. Yeah. And then you got the 25-year Canadian as your veteran.
That's
so
awesome.
Kind of all over the map. We say it's like a curated infinity bottle.
Yeah.
But it's fun. You get something new every time you take a sip of it, and 108 proof. So getting after it.
Are you elite level knowledgeable on whiskey now?
I know there's people that know more than me, but I feel
where would you rank with people that?
I mean, I feel like I can talk it pretty well.
Yeah, right.
When you talk in the nitty gritty, I feel like I can hang with about anybody, but there's always going to be somebody that dives into more of the juice stuff than me.
Yeah.
But again, I like the whole package. I like the story. I like, the entire thing, not just one sector.
Still do the the players underneath the caps?
Yep. So that's our small batch. So we still have the player series. That is the one for every major leaguer. So that'll
and former ones, right? Did you get former ones?
One
because I think I got Robin Yount somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah, Robin Yount was in mine, which is beautiful.
Yep. So we have that's our small batch.
Yeah.
And then so that's our everyday, and then we got the player series will be coming out in a couple months, and that's the one that's one for every player in Major League history. That's all hand numbered.
That's beautiful. You want to hang in here and talk to Chris too?
Yeah, sure.
Drew Storen's going to hang out. Chris Welch is going to join us. He's in Miami, right, James? Miami and the Reds. Reds winners 4 straight. Out of the gate looking really good. Chris is going to join us from Reds TV. Drew Storen of Field of Dreams going to hang in studio. Don't go anywhere. Stream the app. It's HD Radio. AAA membership lounge. Become a AAA member today. Ask Matt Goins and let him get you signed up to get that support of the open road. That's AAA.com. Hour 2, Chris Welch, Drew Storen, me, JMV. Fat and humbled no longer. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Hey, John, for WeGrowHairIndy.com, 317-522-2995, your real growing hair again. That's a phone call away. Have you thought about doing it? Well, now is the time. Make sure you tell Darren Andrews that I sent you because this is no pipe dream. This is legit. Your real growing hair again, 317-522-2995. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
I love JMV. He looks like Rascal Flatts guy.
Got a cool soul patch.
He does, and a buttery smooth voice.
Oh, yeah.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, welcome back. James in studio here. I'm at Behringer's South Meridian coming up on Friday. All right. Michigan, the national champions. Friend Dusty May, the national championship coach. More on that coming up. Probably Dusty later on this week. I'm going to give him time to do all he needs to do up in Ann Arbor. And then obviously you're already into what is neck deep into the transfer portal. We'll do that later on this week, too. And a busy week for you, plus the golf outing. We'll get to that coming up in a minute. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he staked out in South Florida. Get the Reds and the Marlins coming up later on tonight. In fact, the Reds are winners of 4 straight out of the gate. So I thought from Reds TV and Reds Radio, I better get the former pitcher on here. Chris Welch joins us now on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hello, Chris. How are you?
JMV. Certainly doesn't take you long to transition out of basketball back into baseball, huh?
It does not. Well, this helps, too, because we have a guest today, Chris, in studio with us. His name is Drew Storen. I think you know him very well.
Oh, yeah.
Here he is.
What a great pitcher he was for the Reds, and not only for the Reds, other teams, too. So
I appreciate you, Chris.
Drew, if you're there, Drew, how you doing?
I'm great, and you?
Excellent. Good to talk to you.
Great to talk to you.
All
it seems like the Redlegs are off to a pretty good start, huh?
They are off to a pretty good start, and they're doing it with a formula that they don't really get a lot of respect for over the years, which is really good pitching and good defense. And it's basically a run prevention team. Here's the team that has scored fewer runs than anybody in all of baseball, and yet they've already won 7 games. So I'm not sure how you do it, but nobody's asking questions right now.
Nobody should ask questions right now. I'm a tremendous fan. I've said this. I don't want to fall out of love. I think I'm in love with Sal Stewart. Give me some reasons why that is a good opinion right now with the start that he has and what he does really in so many different phases. He just looks like a baller to me, Chris.
He is. He is just – that's a great way of putting it, JMV. I'll tell you, he's a guy that – He's a Miami guy, and you've met people from Miami. Drew, you know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of got this swagger a little bit. You expect him to have like 9 gold chains on and a shirt unbuttoned all the way down and all that, and pulling up in a convertible, Maserati. That's the kind of feel that you get when you're around him. But he's super down to earth. He's super talented. He understands hitting far beyond his years, and he's a guy that right now, here you come out of the minor leagues as a rookie, and you're batting the number 4 spot. And not only that, but you're there protecting Ellie De La Cruz. So it's amazing for him. I think a lot of it is mental, that he works out every winter with Manny Machado. Machado's got that kind of swag, right? And it kind of wore off on him. And I think that he is not one bit intimidated by the name on the back of anybody's uniform. If you watch him in between innings, he's always talking to the first base coach or the first base umpire or anybody who comes down there. Terry Francona asked him last week, he says, have you been in the league 10 years and I missed you? Because you seem to know everybody. And that's just what kind of kid he is.
That's awesome.
I thought you were describing Tucker Barnhart there for a moment when you were talking about how normally guys look from South Florida.
The Miami swagger. Pretty sure Tucker just got a new convertible the other day.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably did.
Pretty sure he did.
There he goes, and some gold chains and the shirt unbuttoned all the way down. Is this as good a pitching group so far? I guess what I'm going to ask you, Chris, is how do you compare the start for this pitching group with teams of the past? I'm just curious. I know it's a very short sample size. Not a lot has been seen just yet. But what makes it different so far in this early season for you?
Yeah, they've only been through the rotation twice, so it's really hard to make judgment. But, they're missing their top 2 guys. If you rank Lodolo up there above, Andrew Abbott, he's certainly right in that same category. But you're missing Hunter Green. You're missing Lodolo. So there's your 1-2 in the rotation that, haven't been able to answer the call. But it's interesting because what the Reds have done over the last few years is when they've gotten a high draft pick, they've always picked a pitcher, with the exception of Sal Stewart. So they haven't been swayed by these college hitters that have great years and so on. They're bringing in 2 guys from Wake Forest, for instance, and Wake Forest is always known for having a great college pitching lab. And they bring in, Chase Burns and Rhett Lauder. Those two guys showed up basically ready to go. I mean, they didn't need a whole lot of, learning, especially at the upper levels of the minor leagues. They made a couple of pretty good trades to get a guy like Brady Singer, who's just a really solid pitcher that has always been really kind of somebody's going to give you a good 5 or 6 innings. And when you look up, all of a sudden you're still in the ball game. So I think it's not a staff that overwhelms you with, wow, you're going to get a bunch of strikeouts. We got a bunch of Cy Young Award candidates. It's just guys that are getting the job done right now, and it's really been fun to watch.
Hey, Chris, you're mentioning relying so much on the pitching and the defense. Something I've always felt is there's been an ebb and flow down there with prioritizing offense versus defense. Is this something that has been planned? You see going on for a stretch of a couple years, or this is something they'd like to stick for long term?
Well, I think that, when you draft top college pitchers, you're drafting a lot better probability of a guy that's going to make the major leagues, because you may draft the kid number 1. He was a great college hitter, and then he never gets out of AA. But when you draft the number 1 pick or number 2 pick in college baseball nowadays, he's already throwing 98 miles an hour, or else he wouldn't be a number 1 pick. So you can project him already in the big leagues at the very worst as a middle reliever. So you take a little bit of the downside away from that. And I think that they're going to be projected going forward that it's easier and cheaper to develop really good pitching than it is to try to go out and, develop hitting. And if you don't do that, then you've got to sign free agents. And Drew, you pitched a Great American Ballpark. I think the other thing is kind of a fallacy that, you automatically think that ballpark, it can play really small sometimes, as we know, but you still got to hit it. Yeah. And it's one of these things where it doesn't automatically score runs just by throwing your bats out there. And I think that the Reds over the years thought, oh, well, we got this bandbox of the ballpark. We're going to automatically score a bunch of runs. And next thing you know, you're being shut out 4 times in a row.
And that's the thing. My biggest complaint pitching there was the mound more than the walls. So that pretty flat compared to other places.
It's funny you say that, because with the ABS, believe it or not, they've done studies on every ballpark. And the mound at Great American Ballpark is super flat. Every pitcher will tell you that. But it is that way because they crown the infield so that when it rains, all the water washes off the infield and the infield doesn't get wet. But, you go to some of these other ballparks. I don't know whether you like Texas or even down here in Miami. But these mounds here, the pitchers rave about them because they feel like they're on a big mountain and they're looking downhill on home plate.
And yeah, DC, LA, they always had big ones. How much now do you think there's any correlation to arm injuries and the flat mound?
I always did when guys way back in the day at Oakland, of course, Billy Martin was making those guys throw about 300 innings apiece, but they had bad dirt and it was kind of sandy and you'd land there and your foot would move a little bit. I do think that it has something to do with it, especially now with the pitchers that are all giving full effort. That I love a big slope on a mound. And, you say L.A., Dodger Stadium, there has never been a mound as good as that place.
Oh, man, that entire playing surface is Augusta.
I mean, there's a reason, and if you guys question whether or not you get arm issues from that seems high level problematic to me.
I feel like there's a sweet spot because if it's too tall, you're putting too much gas on the arm, and if it's too flat, you're trying to generate too much. Especially now, guys biomechanically are using their lower halves better than they ever have before, and that helps immensely when you got some slope.
Exactly, and they're not throwing at 90% either. I mean, every one of these guys, every pitch is throwing 100%. One reason why we're only seeing them go 5 innings, and also one reason why we're seeing a rash of injuries.
Chris Welch of the Reds television network joins us. Reds TV, by the way, you can find it right there. Reds 6:40 tonight down in Miami against the Marlins, winners of 4 straight. You'd mentioned the ABS. How do you like the way that has been utilized so far, Chris?
I think it's really – I've seen a change here over the course of just a couple of weeks that it's now kind of a fallback rather than, on the front page. And I think the umpires are getting used to it a little bit more. I think that the teams are figuring out a strategy of how to use it and when to use it. Rarely do you see it happen, in the first couple of innings of a ball game because teams realize we need this in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And I think it's good. I think it's good for the game. I also think that it's good that umpires are able to check the ABS quietly between innings, by talking to the ABS operator and without, anybody knowing, saying, hey, was that last pitch really a strike? So umpires are getting zoned in better than ever on what the ABS strike zone is. We all know it's smaller than the real strike zone, and I don't think anybody's complaining about it.
If I was pitching, I would, of course. But, hey, there's only one rule in the game of baseball that benefits the pitcher. JMV, you know it?
Yeah. Oh, what's that? One.
Yeah, there's only one rule.
What rule is that?
Ground rule double with the guy on first.
That's the only rule?
At least in my biased opinion.
Yeah, you're very biased. Chris, would you agree with that particular one rule to benefit the pitcher?
You know what? I know a lot about the rules, and that is one. That is not the only one I can think of for sure.
See, there we go.
That they've taken away. My favorite thing to do is just throw over to first base.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a record of 21 throws during one at bat, and that'll never be broken.
No.
You guys can both speak to this too, with all the clocks that are going on and the speed of the game that they addressed now a handful of years ago. Is all this working, guys? Chris, is this working to make it more interesting from what you have noticed? Because both you guys, go back to the days when this was unnecessary and you didn't have it, but is it making the experience more enjoyable while maintaining the significance of the past, Chris? What do you think?
I think it's sped up the game. Has it made it more interesting? I don't know. I don't like games that are 3.5 hours long. I don't know how anybody sits through those. But, now that you're down to about 230, 240, that's a pretty good pace of play. I still don't think there's enough balls in play. I think that the pitching has gotten so good, so fast, that hitters have a hard time putting the ball in play, even with a reduced strike zone the way we see it this year.
Is that something you think that, they've been talking about it for years now, but how strongly are they considering moving the mound back?
I've always thought that was a good possibility, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's just too many teams that have put too much emphasis on the building up of the fastball, the velocity.
Yeah.
And you move that mound back 3 or 4 feet, and, all of a sudden it's going to turn into a curveball league. But I do think that you're going to see, we're seeing 92-mile-an-hour sliders that are just basically unhittable.
Yeah.
And, we had a game the other day in Texas. I think there were, 23 guys struck out in the ball game. And, you can ooh and ah about the pitchers and so on, but I like to see contact. Ellie De La Cruz is a great defender. He's a super athlete, a freak of nature. I want to see him field 3 or 4 balls in a ball game, not go 3 or 4 games without him getting a ground ball.
That's very true. Chris, you were talking earlier about the fast rise of those college pitchers. Do you have any concern of their lack of minor league workload once they get up to the big leagues? Because we all know.
No,
yeah, go ahead.
I just think it's going to, rust off before it wears off, if that makes any sense. Meaning, I just think that they don't get enough throwing in. And when they do throw, it's 100% all the time. So I don't know if workload is a way to prevent arm injuries. They've tried to do it for years, and it hasn't worked. I don't know the secret formula, to be honest with you.
I feel like just the nature of the game, it's turned into kind of more of a meat market when it comes to arms anyway. So it's like, well, more than likely you're going to blow out, so you might as well blow them out in the big leagues.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it's amazing how you can look at the stats and you see a relief pitcher that gets in 60 games a year. He's only going to do it for 2 years because the third year he's going to be on the injured shelf.
Yep. Unless you're Tyler Clippard, and every year though they were telling him that he was going to get hurt. That's a niche one. That's a niche one. Shout out to Kokomo.
He might injure himself playing golf now.
Oh, that's right. Man, he's on a tear right now.
That is Chris Welch with us down in Miami. Drew Storen's in studio with us talking Reds, Major League Baseball, and more. And Chris is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Couple of things. There's two-parter for me right here is Nick Lodolo and the blister situation. Do you foresee there be a moment in which you don't have to worry about that any longer? And I want you to talk about, speaking of moments, the one you saw on Sunday with Brock Burke, for Brock Burke down in Texas. I thought that was a good one too.
Yeah, it's in Lodolo, and I don't know about you, Drew, if you ever had any blisters or not, but he gets a blister on the pad of his index finger, and he doesn't throw on a seam on any of his pitches. His four-seam fastball, his two-seam, or his slider, anything. Everything is on the skin of the baseball, but he still gets a blister. How he does that, I don't know. He's missed 2 weeks each of the last 2 seasons. And for Brock Burke, he kind of came out of nowhere. He was throwing pretty hard last year with the Angels, I guess, for a little bit of time. But he came out throwing 100 miles an hour the other day. I mean, we haven't seen a left-hander with the Reds throw 100 miles an hour since Aroldis Chapman was signed.
I just thought that was a really cool moment. I didn't know too much about him, and what I saw was really impressive in that stint in Texas over the weekend, for sure.
He had a little bit of extra motivation against Texas because his time there, he didn't think he was, you've been there, where you don't feel a team treats you exactly the way you want to be treated. So he had a little bit of extra motivation, and but it was an eye-opener for a lot of the Reds coaches, especially thinking, man, we got a lefty down there that throws 100. They don't grow on trees.
It seems like a while. Chris Wells joins us. I did want to ask you before I let you go. It's one thing to see Eugenio Suarez in the bat. You knew the reason why you bring him in with results and the big bat that he swings. But how good has he been? He just looks like he is perfect for any clubhouse, any dugout, and especially here so far in Cincinnati. I know he's been there before, but I just see them both. I see what he does in production, and I see what he does with his teammates. And to me, that is something that is incredibly necessary for success.
None of it's fake either, and that's the greatest part about it. I mean, what he does in the clubhouse, first of all, he brings you some thump in the lineup.
Yeah.
He's going to hit 45 home runs if he plays a lot, and he will. He hits breaking balls that are good breaking balls down and away because he's cheating down there to get it. He's going to strike out 190, 200 times, okay? So you know that's in the cards. But in the clubhouse, the Reds needed a leader. I mean, they were looking to Ellie De La Cruz to be a leader. Kid's 23 years old. He's his first time through the big leagues. What does he know? So Suarez has been around. He's been an all-star. He's been traded a few times back and forth. He knows what the whole thing is about. He's been a hero in the WBC, and he's been in Cincinnati, as you said before, and that makes a big difference. The Reds could not have gone out in that secondary level of the free agent market and gotten a better player than Suarez.
I couldn't agree with you more. I was really pumped to see him come back. Can you tell him I said hi, please? I love
sure
that.
Will.
Love that
Sure
guy.
will.
You're 100% right. 100% genuine.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, I got one kind of a sidestep a little bit, but you have a old school manager in Terry Francona, and obviously a game that's going straight to data analytics and all that. Where do you see the balance of the Reds right now? Are they, like it's a 60-40 split? Every team I feel like has a kind of a pie chart on how much they're leaning to each thing.
Yeah, I think really, Drew, it depends on how powerful your manager is. And it doesn't get any bigger than Terry Francona right now, right? So I think that, Terry Francona uses those analytics to basically affirm what he already sees in the game. He's not learning anything from it, but he's also not shutting them out either. The Reds have, like every other team, they got a big analytics department with a bunch of propeller heads down there running the numbers. But, and Terry wants to see those numbers, but at the same time, he's not putting all of his faith in that. He's going to see human beings on the field. He realizes that people fail, and how you get back up is as important as anything else. And I'll tell you, from a media standpoint, I've never been around a better manager than Francona. I mean, I played with him when we were together in Montreal, so I've known Tito for a long time. But he is as genuine as they come, and he's really good with interpersonal relationships with the players. But he also knows a little bit about the strategy. So
that's cool.
And he's got a resume. So you put it all together, and the analytics people should be listening to him.
Yeah.
All right, let's hold this thing together just like this for the entirety of the season, Chris. Can I count on you to do that?
JMV, absolutely, yes. I'll do the best I can. As long as you tell me we won't wait a whole nother year before we talk again.
I know. I feel embarrassed by that, too. I want to take advantage. I'm trying to strike while the iron is hot right here and get this thing going because we need it. We need it here. Anybody that's followed the Reds for years, this is exactly what we need right here. We're watching it.
Exactly. Well, Drew, it's up to you to keep him under control.
That's why I retired. So.
Oh man, it is. Hey, great to hear from you. Have a great broadcast later on tonight. We will keep in touch, Chris. I thank you for coming on the show today.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you, Chris.
Chris Wells right there, the Reds TV, Reds Radio as well on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. 6:40 tonight, by the way, for the Reds and the Miami Marlins. The Reds are 7-3 to start out the season. And as a former pitcher in studio with Drew Storen, you have seen the pitching has looked really good, and they do have dudes that aren't playing right now because of injuries.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? You need those guys to come up and gain some confidence and know that they can contribute because things are going to happen. It's only a matter of time. And
Did you need confidence?
No.
Were you okay? Did you just come bringing the confidence?
I mean, yeah. I was kind of Maverick mentality, but
Maverick.
Yeah, but
I like that.
But to Maverick's fashion, you end up killing goose at some point. So it's how you respond.
Well, I will say this. Field of Dreams All-Star Whiskey, 30 distilleries in one bottle. Drew is in studio with us, and you know him as a former major leaguer, but also he has Field of Dreams. This is a new bottle, and you've also pointed out some things as a part of the label because the genius of what you do is implementing what you in the past on the bottles and, under the cap and such. What have you done with the latest invention right here?
Yeah, so on the front of our All-Star label, since we got a barrel from each major league market, we went back and found what we thought was the most iconic uniform for each team and kind of stylized it with our branding and put it on the front. And then on the neck of it is kind of a cool thing that I didn't actually know until we started doing this, that when you make an all-star team, you get a ring. So that was something my business partner, Tyler Clippard, mentioned. I'm like, oh, well, we should put the ring on the neck.
That is beautiful right here. I'm looking, and you do have the Astros, to me, is the all-time greatest.
Yes.
It is like and I'll say the Jose Cruz, Terry Poole uniform to me is the all-time greatest. Do you have a favorite old school uniform on here?
Man, I really like the Astros one. I think you nailed that one.
Yeah.
I like the White Sox one. That one's pretty strong, and then the Cardinals one's pretty cool too.
And the Brewers with the glove on the hat is much better than the M and the wheat, the piece of wheat or whatever. San Diego, how about the Padres one? Is it the
brown?
Yeah, the brown and the mustard color right there. The older school, not even so much the Tony Gwynn uniforms as it might be the Gary Templeton uniforms, the Dave Winfields of the past right there. Would make a lot of sense. No, this is awesome. No, this is Clippard's idea, or was this your idea, the uniforms?
Oh, that was all of ours.
Okay.
Yeah. Clip was the one that just brought up that he was flexing that he had 2 All-Star rings.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, he was like, by the way, I don't know if you guys have seen these. I'm like, oh.
He did have like an Iron Man type of arm, did he not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How many years did he pitch in Major League
16.
Baseball?
16. Yeah, 16 years, and the only reason he retires because of his knees, not his arm.
He was one of really? Yep. He was one of the few that wore the
goggles. He was like one of the first to market. It was like Gagne and then him.
Yeah, it was Eric Gagne wore those too, didn't he?
And then, but yeah, now Clip's out dominating the Pro Golf Tour.
So, is he really?
Yeah, he's playing in all the big events with old players and winning a lot of money playing golf. Which,
you stay in touch with him all the time. What other, besides Tucker Barnhart, other major leaguers?
Jerry Blevins is another partner in the whiskey company, and then now manager of the Padres, Craig Stammen. So
that's pretty awesome right there.
So
does that make you a Padre fan automatically right now too?
Yeah, that's my one of my favorite teams now. So
that's beautiful, man.
It's pretty cool to see. He came through here in the offseason, and hearing the whole story of how he got the job was they pretty much had him help find the person and then said, "Do you want it?"
So I'm hooping 2 weeks ago. And I get knocked down. And while I'm 56 and I don't play at all like I'm 56, I fall like I'm 56. And I mentioned that. And I'd mentioned something like, man, I think I need a life alert. And so along comes in the mail here a box that has a life alert package in there. It's got a watch and everything else. Tucker Barnhart sent me life alert. I didn't know who it was initially because it didn't say on the box, and I got inside the box, and it was life alert. And there's like an SOS button on this watch where if I fall down or something, I just hit it, and alarms go off, and somebody comes to pick me up.
He's always looking out. What a teammate.
Hey, by the way, we're Big Red Liquors.
Yep, Big
right
Red.
Here.
Yep. Any retailer, any of your favorite retailers.
Big Red Liquors. You guys check this out. Field of Dreams All-Star Whiskey. This is it only for this year, this bottle, or limited time?
Yeah, this is a one. We don't know if we're going to do it again. So, yeah. You
All
can
right.
check it out. I know Total has it.
Total has it as well. Total, we were just there up at Nora last week as well. So the super dentist, Brad Sammons, my dentist, the super dentist, says, get Drew to autograph a bottle for me while he's there today. He would appreciate that. If we have a bottle, the super dentist, Brad Sammons, is a friend of the show right there, would love that too.
Easy.
And this is going, you'll have to show up sometime this summer when you do, because I've invited you before, you and Tucker, to Paradise de Watson across the road from my house. When we have one of those Sunday parties, you come out.
I'm in.
And we'll throw it out.
If we're
we'll
out.
throw it all out. I'm telling you.
I'm in.
And you may have to spend the night, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
It is okay around
That's
my
right.
place. Every family doing well?
We're all good, man.
I've got to get your dad on here. I was going to get your dad because we were leading up to the Final Four week, and I didn't get enough time to do it. I got to get him back on the show, especially with the enormous transition going on in the local TV. I thought he would be incredible to talk to about that.
Yeah. He's somebody that's kind of been always seen it coming, right?
And his first job was at RTV6, if memory serves. And he was doing, they did a form of Friday night videos that he did live here locally back in the day.
Yeah, and then I think I remember one of them. He did one where people ice skating. It was nothing but highlights of people falling instead of people showing people gracefully skating. It's just people eating it.
He's genius. He is absolutely genius. And the longer that I'm in this and the more that I see and witness and the closer I get to the end, the more I recognize the genius. And I always think about this, like he was and will be at this level, and I'll be down here, and it's like glorious to see the path that he and others carved around here. I mean, it really is, because that stands strong and lives on even today.
It was a different time. And
it was.
Certainly was. And, hey, you've done great, so don't sell yourself
No,
short, Judge.
I look at him all the time, and I'm thinking every piece of advice he gave me along the way has been accurate.
I know.
It's been accurate.
Did you listen to it the first time?
Well, I did, but I don't think I lived it. I mean, I lived the moment much later, and I go, man, that's what he said like decades ago.
Story of my life.
It is. I bet. You have to deal with that all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's part of the fun.
All right, Pods. Again, Field of Dreams All-Star Whiskey available. You can find it at Total. You can find it at Big Red Liquors, and we'll get a bottle for my super dentist, Brad Sammons. Drew Storen is in studio, the former major leaguer, and we'll see you at the golf outing coming up at the end of the month, too.
Look forward to it.
Thank you, Drew.
Thanks, Jay.
Drew Storen is in here. Quick break. We shall return. You and I on the other side at 239-1070. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live and 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, Johnny from Mark Dito, the best in realty. That's Mark Dito Realty. The number 317-755-4232, markdietel.com, markdietel.com. Today, maybe you're not thinking about making a transition to a different home or a different property, but if you are, now is the time. And I will also advise you to this. If you're not, at some point you will, considering your family situation. Maybe you're growing it, you need more space. You call Mark Dietel and Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. Or considering you may have kids that are about to graduate and you become an empty nester, maybe you don't need all that space, all that house. It is Mark Dietel, who is versatile and will get the job done for you. In fact, the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. It's Mark Dietel Realty. That number one more time, either for right now or for the future. Make sure you have it handy. 317-755-4232. The best in realty. MarkDietel.com. That's MarkDietel.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Well, we're waiting.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
My thanks to Drew Storen in studio, Chris Welch of the Reds Television Network, Reds TV, Reds Marlins coming up later on tonight. Game back. The Brewers starting the season 7-3 of the Reds and the National League Central. That was a hell of a good time. JMV, you need to ask Drew about getting crushed at Foaling. Luckily for my team, the ball is shaped the wrong way in that sport. Well done. JMV is Field of Dreams sold in Florida. I'm not sure I'll ask him for you guys. I'm not sure. I know around here, Big Red Liquors obviously is going to have it for you. And those bottles are immaculate. I promise that you're going to love that. Field of Dreams. Jim McCann, is it available in Southern California yet? I will ask about that. James, go ahead.
According to their website, it is available in Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Ohio, and then Washington, D.C., and Delaware.
Okay. We will try to track stuff down for you guys, too. And again, Drew's going to be, along with Tucker Barnhart, at our golf outing, presented by Franciscan Health. That is coming up on April the 30th at Legends down in Franklin, where Ted Bishop going to join us later on this week. We'll talk Masters and then preview our golf outing with Ted coming up later on this week. But if you haven't signed up yet, I will tell you that it is just about sold out. We would love to have you. 1075thefan.com. It is going to be one hell of an event. Eating, drinking. Don Fisher, voice of the Hoosiers, will be hanging out there, playing, hanging. It will be a spectacular time. It is the Fan Golf Outing presented by Franciscan Health. And again, we are just about sold out for the event. We'd love to have you. Jay writes this at JMV 1070. JMV, Dusty winning the national championship with Michigan is the biggest thing to happen in Greene County. It is a pretty damn big deal. And one of the things that I love about where I'm from, Eastern and Eastern Green, and really the entirety of the county, is how everybody does come together. It is shocking to me yesterday. It was weird to see. When I was downtown and we were at the Hyatt Place inside the Pivot Balcony Bar, and I had so many from Greene County, and everybody was rocking the maize and blue. And also remember that everybody is from either living now or from around Bloomington and are big-time IU fans. But that's what you do when you're close friends with somebody like that, especially a closely knit community, is you go out and you root on your friend. And for me, it was incredibly special to see that. And what, to me, makes it more gratifying for him is how he worked to get to where he is. That part is also amazing. You go back to this time in the early 2000s when he was the videographer for Henry Bibby at USC. You go back to this time when he graduated high school in 1995. He spent a freshman season as a point guard for Oakland City. And then decided to hang up playing basketball and became a manager at IU. But every single step that he has taken, there has been a piece that has created who he is as a coach. But as I mentioned yesterday, the one thing that has steadily remained the same was his personality. And I know you're going to get stuff, well, he's this and he's that. And as I mentioned regarding the comparison to that and what he has accomplished in 2 years as what Curt Cignetti has football-wise in 2 years down in Bloomington, is one, the IU football program was dormant. And they were a laughing stock. And certainly they are no longer that. Michigan already had an ample background. In '89, they won the national championship. But he was bringing back the glory to what is mostly still known now as a football school. And the one common theme you're going to get on both these guys is people will get sick and tired of hearing about their accolades. And then the script will be flipped to where you're going to find, and you've already seen that with Cignetti, trying to find reasons about how he's cheating and doing what he's doing. And the same thing with Dusty. I got news for you. There is no cheating. There are those out there that are going to do what they can do with the resources provided and then make the right decisions to have that level of success, and then that there are others that won't. It's the way that it is. Those are the rules. Those are the rules. The rules are you go out with what you have and you create the best roster humanly possible. That's what applies. And the results matter within where you coach, where you play, and where you are. But so many accolades for a 2-year span for both of these guys, and you are going to end up getting a lot of, especially with social media, because the social media, what it does, it employs, and I use that term loosely because it's not employing, but it employs a high level of jackassery. And then your high level of jackassery can be witnessed. Some take it to heart, others don't. But we, in our world, you get tired of higher level success and you want to flip that. Happens everywhere. It happened to Peyton Manning. People got tired of that. You always get tired of those with consistent high levels of success. And it's even more magnified today because everybody's voice can be witnessed. Not just heard, but read, seen, all of it. Witnessed. Pretty damn funny. Josh writes this. I don't know the answer. Did IU even pursue Dusty May? Do you think he would have decided to go there if they would have pursued? Here's what I know. No. Not that he wouldn't have. I think that if everything was right as it felt from Michigan, that he would have. But clearly, IU was not ready to make that change. He is very comfortable where he is in Ann Arbor, and why would you not be? And if you remember back then, Louisville also had a hand in this, and evidently Louisville, they came in at a lower clip financially than anybody else, but I will also tell you that beyond that, it wasn't so much about the finances of it as it was the resources and the feel that he had about Michigan. And remember, he was an assistant years ago at Eastern Michigan in Ypsilanti, so he certainly had connections in the air. I mean, hell, he has connections. He's been all over the map. As I stated yesterday, he's been everywhere from Southern California, Louisiana, Birmingham, Alabama, Ypsilanti, Michigan, Murray, Kentucky, Bloomington, Gainesville, West Palm. He's been everywhere. But for those asking, Michigan is going to be his spot. And I think if he is the coach someplace else and he has any interest, it would be at the NBA level. This is just my opinion. If he were asked or if he contemplated a move from Ann Arbor, that's where it would be. Again, if that ever occurred. Shout out to Derek White, loud and clear at the Grand Canyon. I've got to see video or pictures of you listening to this show so I can send this out, Derek, from the Grand Canyon. I don't know if we've ever been heard. We've ever had a listener live from the Grand Canyon, but I dig on that. Let's do it. All right, 239-1070. I do have time for your calls. If you guys want to work in the rest of the show, I believe we've got nothing on tap here guest-wise the rest of the way. So we are all clear for you guys to chime in on the end of the college basketball season and the beginning of the transfer portal. As of late last night, about 2 in the morning, over 1,000 players were in the transfer portal. I am sure that that number is even larger right now. That is just the world in which we live. You might as well get used to it. Pacers winding down the regular season. Our next big date for the Pacers will be when we gather together for Mother's Day in the NBA Draft Lottery. Now, it's one thing to be the Pacers, and the Pacers have hope. Can you imagine being the Milwaukee Bucks and the hopeless feeling that you have? Believe me, if you're Miles Turner, you get paid. But we thought that this was going to go wrong. I felt this was going to go wrong. I had no idea it was going to be this stratospherically wrong. This is the highest level of FUBAR possible. I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, wait a minute. There's nothing guaranteed for the Pacers. While you're right, there's nothing guaranteed. There's no guarantee that you're going to end up with a top 4 selection and be able to secure a lottery pick. There's no guarantee you're going to look like you did last year once everybody is healthy and back coming up next year, most importantly, Tyrese Halliburton. There are no guarantees, but there is no guarantee that you as an Milwaukee is completely blanked for the foreseeable future. The nasty of the nasty, and all you have to do is read the latest from Shams regarding that, quote, nasty breakup that's going down in Milwaukee. We thought it was going to be bad. I don't think there was any evidence that would lead us to it being this bad. We knew it was going to be bad, but this bad? That and more coming up on the other side. If you guys want to jump on board at 239-1070, we can do it. The text line is also open at 239-1070. Text line, messages, and such and more coming up. Don't go anywhere. AAA Membership Lounge, via YouTube Live. One fantastic Final Four weekend, and on the other side, a shout-out to a job well done once again to Indianapolis. When it comes to big events, nobody does it better. Shout out to Carly Simon right there. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. John's got a great idea. Premier Deck Coating. Who out there like me loves your outdoor living space? You want to spend all your time when the temperatures warm up outside, and you want to show it off to everybody. Yeah, simply put, you want your property to look great, and Premier Deck Coating can help. You have a deck that needs it, and believe me, the last thing you want to do is have to jack around with it yourself. And then mess around every other year in staining or repainting and having to do things over and over again after a tough winter and the tough climate around here. With Premier Deck Coating, you no longer have to worry about it. A 10-year warranty you're going to get at 317-696-4071. Virtually any color. It helps repel moisture, adds scratch resistancy, and honestly just makes everything look outstanding. The curb appeal is there. So why mess around with all this do-it-yourself stuff? Have the professionals at Premier Deck Coating get it done for you. That free quote today, 317-696-4071. That is Premier Deck Coating, 317-696-4071. I'm talking about the decks. What about fences? And if you've got that weird-looking thing that has no roof and got vines hanging on, it's called a pergola, right? You know, that weird-looking pergola thing? Yeah, you don't have to paint that. No, Premier Deck Coating that to your entire outdoor setup. 317-696-4071 online, premierdeckcoating.com. Hey, John, for Rhino Shield, you notice, too, as you're getting outside and the temperatures are warming up, that, yeah, it may be time to have to paint your house. Hold on a minute. Screeching halt to the painting. Never paint your house again. Go with Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield, a ceramic coating that is specifically designed for this unique climate. A long-term solution that breaks the cycle of repainting every 3 or 5 years, which is a massive pain. Good on brick, wood, and metal. Bonds, seals, protects, and again, delivers vibrant, durable, and maintenance-free exteriors. And they're coating virtually any color. And if you mention my name, say, hey, JMV sent me 15% off the regular price of Rhino Shield right now at 888 Rhino 41. That's 888 Rhino 41. 15% off the regular price if you mention my name with Rhino Shield. 888 Rhino 41. That's rhinoshieldin.com. Tell them I sent you today.
The Ride with JMV.
Johnny, David Letterman. Hi, David. I'm Grandpa.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Shout out to Indianapolis. One incredible weekend. Big events. It's funny. So many people, and listen, I'm just going to back everybody up because I have nothing to do with it. I take part in it from an enjoyment angle, doing live shows, hanging out downtown. But those, and I want to give a shout out to the volunteers. There were so many volunteers involved that made this weekend so incredibly seamless. And as Carly Simon was singing right there, nobody does it better. And nobody does it better than Indianapolis with these incredible events. I hate to say it because you guys are like wanting me to soften up on the state of Michigan, but can you imagine what next year is going to be like? You're going to go from Indy to Detroit. And I thought Detroit might be done. I mean, hell, the last time I was in Detroit and it was at Ford Field, wasn't that when like coaches were going and they were staying at casinos in Windsor and they were getting searched on the inbound back here and then going over to Canada? They were checking the cars and the trunks and stuff. You get coaches on the bridge on the side of the road trying to get back and forth. It was an incredible pain in the ass. I'm assuming it's not going to be that big of a pain in the ass. But I would hate to be anybody, much less Detroit, Michigan, and trying to follow up what was this past weekend. And even if you're trying to make it up, some of the things that you're trying to make up is, well, you know, the music wasn't quite there for me. I'm telling you, everybody loved it, and they had high-level musicians taking part. 21 Pilots, that's a big damn deal. Megan Maroney's a big damn deal. Zach Brown Band, Post Malone. I think the Chainsmokers spent the entire weekend. And it may not be a big deal to those that think Steve Miller Band's a big deal now, but it is a big damn deal is what it is. But it's just everything that is so tight, and even with all the construction, even with all the orange cones, all that is going on, it was masterfully done once again. And as the song says, nobody does it better. Nobody does it better. We may never get another chance to see a Super Bowl in this market again. Probably not, especially if they end up putting together a roof on a stadium up in Roselawn for the nudist camp and the Bears to play. But this place is the absolute best. Makes you proud to be around here with what they do. Job well done, Indianapolis, and especially all of you volunteers. Quick break. We'll come back. 5 o'clock hour is, as I like to reference, speaking of Roselawn, completely nude. Completely nude. So me and you at 239-1070 on the other side. Text line is open to 317-239-1070. Michigan is your national champions, and the transfer portal is wide open. Pacers, T-Wolves later on tonight. Major League Baseball with Chris Welsh a little bit earlier. And we're getting closer and closer not only to the fan golf outing coming up at the end of this month, but how about May and the greatest spectacle in racing and year number two of the JMV takeover the night before the 500 in the Coke lot. News and more on that coming up. The Stream the App, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. 5 o'clock hour, you and I on the other side with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for the Low T Center. Low T Center, I'm telling you, a place to go right now if you're feeling exhausted. And simply put, maybe, fellas, you've lost your sex drive. Book a free testosterone test at Low T Center. No risk, no commitments, just answers. If you want to start testosterone therapy, hey, don't settle for that one-size-fits-all doses from your doctor or pay hundreds out of pocket at a TRT franchise. At Low T Center, get insurance-covered TRT customized to your bod. Maximum effectiveness and safety can be yours with the Low T Center. In fact, Low T Center has served over 500,000 patients since 2009. They continue to set that standard in the industry and TRT. Why not take advantage? This month, you can enjoy the free men's T-test and discounted peptides while supplies last. Head to the Low T Center, lowtcenter.com, and sign up for your free T-test today. That's lowtcenter.com. Hey, JMV here from my friends John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air Conditioning. You can tell spring has sprung, as we like to reference, and it is here. Make sure that your air conditioner is checked and ready, and you're going into these warm temperatures ahead prepared. Now, I will tell you this. Mention my name, John and Chris Love, Love Heating and Air. Tell them JMV sent you at Love Heating and Air, 317-353-2141. They're going to waive the, hold the phone on this one, $144 service fee. All you have to do on that repair is mention my name at 317-353-2141, and they're going to waive the $144 service fee. That is conviction in greatness right there with John and Chris Love and Love Heating and Air. 317-353-2141. Let Heil take care of your home today. I'm telling you, Heil Heating and Cooling dealers, absolutely the best, and you've found the best here in Central Indiana, and John and Chris Love and Love Heating and Air. A Heil dealer at 317-353-2141. Tell them JMV sent you.
The Ride with JMV.
But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Drew Storen's in studio a little bit earlier. The Field of Dreams All-Star Whiskey is upon us right here. So my friend Greg asked this. Is Field of Dreams a sipper or a mixer? If it's a mixer, what are some good things to mix it? And I should have asked that a little bit earlier, and I did not. That is my bad. I would view it as both because I utilize it as both. I guess I would start by saying a sipper, Greg, but I'm more of a gulper with that in mind. So that I would probably say sipper, if that makes sense to you. I would probably say that. But honestly, I can utilize them both and do great with it. But you got to check out this bottle. It's got favorite uniforms of all time Major League Baseball players. Under the cap, you got Major League Baseball players. It is absolutely outstanding. Sipper, mixer, both. And check it out with our friends from Big Red Liquors, by the way, too. My friend Gary Harris says, so I turn on the radio and I hear my favorite topic, bourbon/whiskey. And congrats to your guy, Dusty May, too, on that national title. That was pretty awesome last night. Michigan, the national champion of college basketball. I was going to wait until later on this week to reach out to him because there is a lot going on right now, I'm sure, with local and Ann Arbor and national responsibilities, but also since the transfer portal is now wide open, and wide open it is with constant movement, I thought, yeah, maybe we will wait just a little bit on that. In case you missed this earlier today, Fernando Mendoza, the projected number 1 overall selection in the upcoming NFL draft, is evidently not planning on attending the draft. That according to big-time Michigan fan and grad. Did you see the picture of our good friend Adam Schefter with Dusty May after the game last night? Yeah, thanks for sending me that, everybody. Mendoza wants to share the draft experience with his family in Miami, which is about as Mendoza as you're going to get. It's not like it's funny. He is Fernando. That's the Fernando Mendoza that you know, that you've known for the past year. Like Dusty May is the Dusty May that I've known forever. It is very interesting how those that maintain their real personalities have that success. In high-level stuff, too. So that is the latest on Mendoza not being a part of the draft, which, by the way, is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And everybody's getting fired up over that. Michael Malone, the new head coach at North Carolina, as we talked about that at length on yesterday's show. And we are eager to keep track of what's going on within the transfer portal, which per usual is absolutely out. Is it not outstanding? And I know that I'm old school. I'm considered old school. But I can also get down. If we have to get down with this, we have to get down with this. And I do. That's why you can't get butthurt or chafe on movement. Because the moment that happens is the moment you just need to disconnect from it altogether, because for the foreseeable future, or as I like to mention, until further notice, this is the norm, everybody. This is how this is going to be. The interesting dynamic around here is we have IU fans that are all in with it. because of what happened with the football program. Let's just face it, this era without that doesn't happen. This year without that doesn't happen. So you embrace it. And the same might be said, I would guess, even though Dusty May took Florida Atlantic to the Final Four. But so much was made about these so-called mercenaries that Dusty May had at Michigan. And everybody has mercenaries now. That's the nature of it. You are going from place to place for two things, for money or more clock. And more clock equates to more opportunities to show what you can do to earn more money. Until something changes, that's the way that it's going to be. So to say, well, this is against the rules or he's a fake nice guy, no fake nice guy about it. He's going about the business the way now you're supposed to go about the business. And if your philosophy is different, then so be it. It's whatever works for you. But to suggest that this is not all just some big free-for-all or jump ball, if that is your viewpoint, or if that is, for example, a coach or a staff, if you're the last one in, you're probably going to finish last. I'm all for the old school maintain and build and nurture and watch grow. That is great. That is great if you have a player or two that would be willing to do it. Like what Matt Painter had at Purdue, that trio was outstanding. Those are great moments. Those are great moments that will live on forever. But now you got to turn the page. You just got to make sure that you have what is necessary to win at the highest level. And know that everybody around you is going to go about their business the same damn way. Until something changes, if anything ever changes. All right, 239-1070. If you guys want to join, you certainly can. I do want to get to this before I get back to the phones here. JMV, I've had an old-timer show me pictures of Roselawn from the 70s. He showed me Twin Peaks. He showed other things, too, at different times. Yeah, I had friends that were photographers back in the day that would go up there and take pictures. And as I mentioned, the thing about Roselawn and back in the day, nudes a poppin'. Normally, the nudes a poppin' are not the nudes that you want to see poppin'. The nudes you want to see poppin' are still clothed. The nudes you don't want to see poppin' are the ones that are nude. That is, again, notoriously how this entire thing works. Those at the nudist camp are those that should have the clothes on. Those with clothes on are probably the ones you wish were at the nudist camp. It is really an interesting dynamic. RC chimes in, who is listening while grilling right now. I'm trying to see what you're... Let's see you up there. I've got RC, speaking of grilling, locked and loaded. I've got some bison, James. A little high-protein bison that's ready to rock.
You're a big fan of the bison,
I'm
aren't you?
a big fan of the bison. The bison's incredibly expensive, though. I cannot grill my meat and have my meat shrink. When your meat shrinks, that is incredibly problematic.
Oh, it's a horrible thing.
That's why I can't do the meat. It's got to be 90% or higher, 95% or higher. I can't go anything in the 80s, man. That's going to shrink up like a frightened turtle. Can't have it. JMV, this morning in my gym in Southern California, the talk was all about Dusty May, Greene County, Eastern Greene. The ride and the JMV takeover. That's Jim McCann. Well done, buddy. Thank you very much. That's where Dusty May started out as the videographer for Henry Bibby. If you remember, that team was the team where IU went all the way to the championship game with Mike Davis leading Dane Fife and Tom Coverdale and Jared Jeffries and company, leading them to that championship game and that loss to Maryland. But in the second round, remember, they were supposed to get a very talented USC squad. Sam Clancy, Jeff Trepanier, got upset by Brett Blizzard and UNC Wilmington. And Dusty May was the videographer for Henry Bibby with that particular group, if you remember back in the day. JMV, I have a lot of Michigan friends saying Dusty's a Michigan man now. I tease them and tell them that Hoosier blood runs deep in Eastern Greene County. You will always be a Hoosier at heart. Am I wrong? Yeah, but that's where he is now. That's his love. There's no doubt. He'll still always have a love to where he grew up, but that's his team, that's his program, and he's a national champion. And as I mentioned, to me, the only other coaching job that he is going to have, and obviously, let's just say, and I don't expect this to happen unless things completely fall apart. The only other coaching job that I believe he would entertain is one at the NBA level. Other than that, he is Matty Matt, a Michigan man. 239-1070 is that number. Let's start in the 5 o'clock hour. James with Jay right here. Hello, Jay. How are you?
What's up, JMV? It was nice seeing you out at Total Wine on Thursday.
Yeah, about that. I'm glad that you stopped by to hang out with Alan Henderson and Brian Cardinal and I. That's well done out of you. Thanks, brother.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was talking. I saw Bill Benner and Ken Owen. I'm Facebook friends with Ken.
Yes.
Going back and forth. And now CBS, they show women's soccer, bull riding. Why couldn't they show the national championship game? It's probably because they pay Tony Romo and Jim Nantz way too much.
I don't think it has. I think they made that decision years ago to go with TBS and TNT and True TV and take it off the national network. I feel the same way about it. I think that is level. I'm assuming that's somebody crunching numbers on it, I would guess. But I would agree with you. I always would want it to be on CBS. I don't necessarily understand, Jay, until somebody shows me the numbers as to why or the reason behind it, why you wouldn't be on CBS too. But, I mean, we could all find all that stuff pretty easy. Go ahead.
Because I went to watch the Final Four games at District Tap, so I saw the second half of Illinois and UConn and the Michigan-Arizona game, and they were well worth seeing, but I spent almost $35 there, so oh well.
Yeah, well, again, I think what it comes down to is what you also like to listen to in the presentation, and our friend Ian Eagle and Bill Raftery and Grant Hill do a great job as a trio. A lot has been made about Bill Raftery being 82 years old or whatever, and maintaining he can go on for another of 10 years. As long as Bill Raftery's around, I'm down with it, because that is maybe the classic analyst voice in college basketball. And I don't ever want to see that change. So I'm down with that.
He's still funny, Bill Raftery, and I believe he's 78 years old.
I believe it said he was 82, and I think you said that was even wrong. But whatever his age, okay. I am 100% down with it.
Great.
Yes, 100%
okay,
down
well,
with it.
thanks a lot. I'm headed down to the Pacers Timberwolves.
You got it. Well, enjoy that, and I'll talk to you on Saturday night on the JMV Takeover, Jay.
Sure.
Maybe see you at Behringer's on the South Side on Friday. Even better, Jay. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, Greg, if you're out there, Drew Storen has responded to your question. JMV All-Star is a sipper. Talking about Field of Dreams All-Star. All-Star is a sipper. That's the bottles that we have in here right now. Our small batch with the tops is the mixer and the sipper. Small batch, the mixer and the sipper. And Greg, what I have here in studio, the All-Star, what you guys have seen, if you're watching, that's a sipper. That according to Drew Storen. Hopefully we're all on the same page with that. Thank you for Drew coming in and bringing the Field of Dreams All-Star. We're just about a little over a month away from the Paradise Day Watson with a new pool heater, I'm assuming, to crack open, and the weekends will begin again. We were thinking long and hard about trying to have James some type of big JMV takeover party there on a weekend. And I informed that I said, I don't know who would all end up showing up here, but I think that's a hell of a plan. I like the idea.
Haven't we done a live show from there for this show?
Well, We have not.
Really?
We have not. No, I have done live shows. I've been on Fox 59 there before. From that, I've never done this show live. The thought is, and I think I have a couple of live shows coming up in May before we go to the Coke Lot. I believe that I was told that maybe Binkley's will solidify that when the time comes. That's what I've been told. But I know the Coke Lot is coming back, and the Bronze RV, Fun Time Campers and RVs. I know we're going to be back in the Coke Lot the night before the 500 again for the JMV Takeover. I know that is going to be for sure. Meantime, 239-1070. Justin is talking college basketball next. Hello, Justin. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, JMV. It's good to see you at Slippery Noodle last Friday.
That was a hell of a time, Justin. Thank you for coming out there, man. What a great environment, man. Indy knocked it out of the park again, didn't it?
Yeah, yes, they did. And that's about as much as the Final Four as I got because my Boilermakers didn't make it. So,
well, it was unfortunate. But
it was unfortunate.
It was almost like an eye-opener, wasn't it? You consider how Arizona treated Purdue in the second half, and then you consider how Michigan treated Arizona on Saturday night. That was a bit of an eye-opener, especially considering the last loss from Michigan was in that championship game in Chicago to Purdue. It is something to consider all the way around right there.
Yeah. So, Matt, I went to Purdue, graduated from Purdue, and I love the school and the university and the teams. But Matt is going to have to change his format if he wants to get to that next level. They're going to have to pay some of these athletic, long kids to come be on the team. And it breaks my heart for the high school kids because they're going to be the ones who suffer, and that development is going to just erode away.
So would you take, and I'm not suggesting this is even a possibility, but I asked this a little bit earlier, as a hardcore Boilermaker fan, would you take Miles Colvin back?
Most definitely. I would. He probably learned a valuable lesson that the grass wasn't greener. I think his playing time went up minutes-wise, but I don't know that his production was any better.
See, I think he's looking for even greener grass than that right now, too. I think that's one of the reasons why he's back in. I think you kind of look at the situation. You want to go someplace that may offer you the combination of winning at a higher clip and more money at a higher clip.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And unfortunately, Matt's recruiting classes are just stacked with, Indiana kids year after year. And they compete really well in the Big Ten and even the Big Ten tournament. In the trio that we just lost, that was phenomenal what they did for the program and the university. But, I think like Jake was saying earlier today, like you're going to have to go hire some mercenaries because everybody else is doing it.
Everybody else, you don't want to be the one not doing it. There's no way. I hate, and I think if philosophically speaking, if that's not your bag, then you end up going the Jay Wright, the Tony Bennett type of route here, don't you? If you find out that that's not you, because that's part of the reasons why, so many have decided to step away. Now, those were after major accomplishments, but you catch my drift on it. It just kind of seems like this may not be for everybody. And I think the fans, I think, can connect or relate with that because a lot of the fans feel the same way as maybe more than a handful of the coaches do.
Exactly. And I think Matt's kind of on the threshold of old school, but I think he can see the writing on the wall. And to quote the great Hoosiers basketball movie, you don't want to get caught watching that paint dry.
Well, let me tell you this about Matt Painter. My belief is that he just is trying to find what is best to make his team its best and to get those results. So he has a process, don't get me wrong, and has a blueprint, but to him it's still all about putting together the best product out there, no matter how you end up doing it. So I think it's going to be a mixture of what his baseline philosophy is and then also going out there and finding what is necessary to make that group better. So that's who he is to me. It's not just being old school. in this case.
Right. Yeah, I don't ever see Purdue bringing in 5 guys from the portal, and just resetting every year. But I think they're going to have to get a little bit more athletic and maybe get a guy or 2 every year,
Well, a lot of this rides on the decision regarding Oscar Clough, and there's nobody. You flip a coin on that, I would guess, for an extra year and then play off of that. But there's going to be plenty of opportunity for everybody in this as well. It seems like there are more than just a couple of teams that are starting basically from ground zero right here.
Yeah. And fortunately, we don't have to worry about that with the way he stacks his classes every year.
Yeah.
But, the thing that's hurt us the last 3 to 5 years is we lack some athleticism.
Justin, it was great to see you on Friday, man. Try to come down to Behringer's on Friday. We'd love to see you again.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make it. I'm on spring break, and I think I'm going to come down there and have a couple cold ones with you.
You got it. I'm a cold one generator. Justin, thank you very much, man. We'll look for you. Behringer's coming up on Friday. Rob, my man, in Behringer's. I cannot wait to get back there. I'm assuming that they have their new outdoor area open, too. I always love Behringer's because you can sit right there in the window, and literally northbound Meridian Street is maybe 3 feet out the window where you are. Pretty amazing. And it goes back to the days of John Dillinger. That's how old that place is. And it is packed full of memories and awesomeness. Behringer's coming up on Friday. I'm going to look for all of you. What a great way to springboard into the weekend. Adam writes this, JMV, CBS has no choice in the matter as they share NCAA tournament rights with TBS, True, etc. The 2 alternate years of having the Final Four and title games, CBS will have both next year. See, I thought it was the CBS decision. I didn't think CBS wanted to be the presenter of the championship game and the Final Four, but I could be wrong about that. I thought it was the same way on TBS, TNT, and True TV a year ago as it was this year. Thank you for the update, though, Adam. If you're on hold, I'm going to get to. I think Nick is waiting on hold. We'll get to Nick's call. Tommy is there as well. You and I rest of the way at 239-1070. Pacers T-Wolves coming up later on tonight. 6:30 coverage begins. Pat Boylan's got you covered bottom of the 6 o'clock hour. I mentioned Behringer's coming up on Friday. Studio rest of the week and a lot more guests for you as well. Drew Storen, the former major leaguer, in studio. Chris Welch of the Reds Television Network on the show a little bit earlier. Greg Rakestraw as well. To stream the app, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Thank you all for joining us on what is a fantastic Tuesday. Could be a little bit warmer. Blue skies and sunny on this early spring afternoon in early April. And the Masters and Ted Bishop will join us later on this week to preview that as well. Don't go anywhere. That and more for you. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, I'm John, and my friends at Indiana's Best are ready, willing, and able to help you out. That's Eric Wilson, my man Rob, at 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers, the location of Andy Moore Buick GMC. The brand new 2026 Buick Enclave is incredible. So many different styles to choose from, too. They're going to find something for you. So the inventory is going to be there with the Enclave. You know that to be true. And by the way, Buick is all new and as popular as the brand has ever been to date. Check out the brand new 2026 Enclave in all the different styles, plus the inventory, the incentives to buy, which would be coupons to save you money, and then the service after the sale, all at one place. Tell Eric Wilson that I sent you. It is Indiana's best for a reason. They don't mess around and waste your time. They get the job done for you. One-stop shopping that is hassle-free with my friend Eric Wilson, Rob, and the gang at Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers. Oh, you're looking for that curb appeal, right? Springtime, outdoor time, outdoor living space, hanging out, parties, friends, just people walking by. You're going, wow, my place has got to look better. And you've noticed on your deck that things are cracking and peeling and chipping away. And the last thing you want to do now is have to stain or paint or have to do it all the time. That's where you call on the experts at Premier Deck Coating, the best to protect, the best to keep you out of having to do that vicious cycle of every single year. And the fact you can customize your outdoor living space the way that you want it, plus a 10-year warranty. So no more staining or painting every couple of years. Think about the money you're going to save, not only for the decks for your outdoor living space, but maybe the fences around your property, pergolas, if you have one of those, anything that you have in your outdoor setup. Check it out with Premier Deck Coating. Get that free quote today. Call my friend Ron, 317-696-4071. That's Premier Deck Coating, 317-696-4071. Online, premierdeckcoating.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
Give me my theme music.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Crank this up, James. Anybody see the Chainsmokers this weekend? Are they named Alex and Drew? Are their names the Chainsmokers, the duo? Ba-na-na, ba-na-na. Anybody go with Capital One inside the Indiana Roof Ballroom Saturday night and see the Chainsmokers? I got to hear about that. I did not go. I did not see it. JMV Takeover did preview it for you on Saturday night, though. Bryson Tucker, the former Hoosier who spent last year playing for the Huskies of Washington, has declared for the NBA draft. And before everybody starts laughing, yeah, of course. But mostly anybody's going to declare for the NBA draft or go in the transfer portal. You declare for the NBA draft because you want people, you want to find some facts about yourself that maybe you don't know when you look in the mirror. Like, well, I'm not good enough. Because believe me, all these guys think they're good enough. You don't get to that point, no matter who you are at that level of athletics, to think you're not good enough. But then you have to get an honest opinion about not being good enough. So these guys get a quick once-over and a shakedown about how they're not good enough. True story. Text line 317-239-1070. JMV, you and James have any good picks for the Masters? I made my pick a little bit earlier today, and in true Southern Indiana, Greene County fashion, I pronounced his name wrong. Ludwig Oberg, but it's spelled Aberg. Just like Milan is pronounced Milan. Just like Dubois County looks or would be pronounced in Europe Dubois. Ludwig Oberg. He is Swedish. My pick to win. James, do you have a pick to win the Masters?
I'll go with Bryson DeChambeau. I'll go with him.
DeChambeau. Who out there is going to pick Tommy Fleetwood, the Thomas of Fleetwood? Anybody? I'm Tommy Fleetwood. He always looks, he's an English dude, right? And he always looks like, you know, when I make fun of like little nerdy guys, hey there, hey. Like an English Scrappy Doo.
An English Scrappy Doo.
That is English golfing Scrappy Doo.
That is highly specific right there.
Yeah, it's Scrappy Doo. What a pain in the ass. Hey, yeah. Let me at him. You ever notice in cartoons, so many of the dogs get in the way?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you have your dog? Why are you taking your dog everywhere?
Well, their dog could talk, so that might be why they're taking
Scrappy Doo. Yeah. I'll tell you another. Like, I watched the old Johnny Quest from the 60s. And Bandit, that dog, was the biggest pain in the ass of all time. How'd that thing not, like, every moment, arrows or gunshots or alligator bites. But you're always taking him everywhere. And he's always barking. You're trying to hide from somebody trying to get you in your dumbass dog.
Was this just a normal?
You can't hide with Bandit barking.
Was this just a normal dog, or did he have any special powers?
No special. Oh, he's just a pain in the ass. Special power was like getting you guys got or getting smoked right in front of you. I don't know which one's worse. There's my breakdown of Johnny Quest right there. Why are you taking her dog? Pretty funny. Like, the dog can talk. Like, the whole Scooby thing I never got. I don't know what he added either.
I think he was just a talking dog.
But it was the title character of the show, I guess.
I don't know if they ever really explained the lore behind Scooby-Doo being able to talk.
Yeah, the Scrappy-Doo stuff. That was the jumping of the shark for Scooby-Doo right there. That's just pain.
That's saying something that's the moment that causes the jumping of the shark.
Yeah, you got to be... I mean, the whole... You know, if it's going to be scary, you can't have this little pipsqueak of a dog not being scared of anything. Just defeated the purpose. Yeah, I know. Tommy Fleetwood is a hell of a guy. It's probably a great pick, too. I'm saying he seems to me like this scrappy, hey, I'm going to hit this ball a long way. You know what I mean? I know he doesn't sound like that, and he's probably a hell of a guy. Probably. You're probably right. I'm just suggesting if somebody wants to pick Tommy Fleetwood. Now, can we put together something if I get, I don't know how we would do that, though. I don't know how we do that. Not like the bracket of booze. Speaking of which, who won our bracket of booze? Do we have an ultimate winner?
We do have an ultimate winner. His username is 2HaysMG, I believe is. I don't know exactly what that means, but yeah, 2HaysMGs.
2HaysMGs.
Yes, the number 2 HAYESMG''S.
So tell this person how they can get in touch with you so we can make sure we get the product from our friend Romy to them.
You can either hit me up on X at James A Radio. You can hit me up on the text line, either one of those two ways. Or if you want to send me an email at James, trying to think about my email now. I'm just blanking on it. Yeah. james.adams@radio-1.com.
That's a lot of work right there.
Yeah, it's weird trying to say your email when you never really say it out loud. You just always type it.
So one more time, let people know who won. And I'm assuming this person, I just haven't heard from this person yet, I don't think.
I have not heard anything either, and I have no real way to directly contact them as far as I can tell.
You guys know how much alcohol I carry around from people that have won stuff on this show? I've got big red liquors in the back of my vehicle, the way that it is.
I still haven't heard from the person who won our fantasy league.
No,
I actually
either.
sent them a message.
Come on. Come on now. Guys, I'm not making fun of Tommy Fleetwood. I'm just saying he kind of looks like that little spark plug of a guy. SPT says Tommy Fleetwood's wife is, I think, old enough to be his grandmother. Weird age difference. So I didn't know that. Hey, I picked the Swedish guy. I'm going with Ludwig. Ludwig Oberg. It's my pick, which means he will probably not make the cut. That's exactly what that means. All right. Matty Matt's going with Hideki Matsuyama. Well done. Get Ted Bishop on the show later on this week to help us all out a little bit more. JMV, usually high-end bourbon is meant to be sipped and not mixed with anything, not even a splash of Diet Coke, Kevin in Noblesville. And while I understand that, the one thing about what I drink is I want to drink it the way I want to drink it. I do understand that, too, because you're talking about you sip it, you put a big round ice ball in a nice, clean glass. Me, I just will grab the bottle and go somewhere with Hammer and Nigel and, like, pass it around. Like puff and pass bottle-wise right there is what we do. So yeah, I'm just built a little bit different. But I get what you're saying. It just depends on the environment in which you're in, though, Kevin. But that's a good point you make. 239-1070 is the number. Nick is up next. Nick, line 3, welcome to the show. How are you, Nick?
I've never been better, JMV, and my family is from Versailles, Indiana.
Yes, not Versailles.
Versailles.
Well done.
Right.
Well done right there.
And I am a short pipsqueak, and so please.
Hey there. You don't talk like this, though. Hey, I'll kick your ass. I can't help it. That is my little spark plug pipsqueak of a dude voice, and I love it. And it may not make sense to anybody, and you may not like. I for some reason I love that voice.
Well, look, I never looked up to Scrappy Doo. I'll tell you that.
What a pain! Hey, why don't you leave your dog at home or leave it at the dog sitters or something?
Oh, right? Yeah, leave it with the park ranger. Yeah.
Hey, take Bandit. That's the last thing you got to do. You got all these people shooting arrows at you and chasing you. You got your dumbass dog Bandit barking. Everybody knows where you are. Come on.
And Scrappy Doo had a dog tag, which I never understood. Like, who is watching Scrappy Doo? Scooby didn't have a dog tag. So, at any rate,
True.
What I called in about was I wanted to tell a tale.
Okay.
In reference to Justin, who was the Purdue fan, Purdue grad.
Okay.
And was saying that Purdue needed to be more athletic.
Okay.
Well, I was a season ticket holder with my father, and we had people that sat in front of us at Purdue football games when the people in front of us were saying that we needed to fire Tiller so that we could progress as a program. And I got so fed up with it at one point that I grabbed one of the guys by the collar and said, "It can always get worse."
Right. And years later, years later. Yeah.
Right. So Purdue's football program essentially is deceased. And so getting rid of Matt Painter or having him change his approach is about the dumbest thing I could ever imagine.
Yeah, well, and I don't think Justin was trying to suggest Matt should leave. And that's why I told him that Matt Painter is going to do what is best, and he's going to build his roster in the best way he can. He's always going to have core beliefs, but he is going to build the roster the best that he can. And I think that, guys like that have accomplished so much, if they get to a point, as some have, where you just don't want to deal with it anymore, then you end up bailing. But he's not that guy to me, and he's competitive, and he's going to continue to compete. So I wouldn't be worried about him being stuck in the past, as many might.
And look, I mean, he is the one person that has the program. If I was a college basketball fan from anywhere in the country, I'd be envious of, because he actually does develop a program.
No, and listen, it would be a new envy for everybody if, for example, if you had the three guys that hung around for 4 years, if they would have gotten to the Final Four or challenged in the championship game, that would be one hell of a story. But we are in a spot right now where you either, and this comes from a reference of Moneyball, where you adapt or you die. And believe me, he's way too competitive. He will adapt. He's all about putting together the best group. Does he have core values? There's no question, and that's not going to be compromised. But what he cares about is having the best players and the best results for that program, and that's not going to change.
Yep, totally agree.
Hey, I appreciate you. You call anytime.
All right, take care.
Good reference. Bringing your dog to these big capers, these adventures. All right, James, quick breakthrough. I got to hit it here. And we're not going after 6, are we?
We are going a little bit after 6.
Say what? We got
about 7-8 minutes.
I hear we're going to have some Anything Goes coming up at the top of the hour. We have not had that in a while. So Will Haskett chimes in. Will Haskett, who will cover the Masters and covers golf. I think he was on the morning show this morning. We like Will a great deal. Tommy Fleetwood's wife is 23 years older than he is.
Yeah, that's correct. She's, I think, 57 and he's 35.
Cool.
Yeah.
He loves love, baby. Trying to think. 23 years old. Let me do some math on my head. So I'd be, 79 for me?
Yeah. 23 years from now, you'll be 79.
Good. All right, look up women right now. Women that it'd be like me being married to whom? 79, and I'm not making light or making fun. Stop it. This is an interesting exercise as we hit a break. Like celebrities that are 79 years of age.
Glenn Close is one.
Man, getting close right here. Who else we got? You know what happened? Michael Douglas got into that a little bit and regretted it back in 1987. Fatal Attraction. Glenn Close.
Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon. Actually, Tim Robbins, her longtime partner, is a lot younger than she is, too. And they met on the set of Bull Durham, James.
Sally Field's another one.
Me and Sally Field, Frog, Smokey and the Bandit. Didn't want to marry Junior. There she is on the side of the road. She's going to jump in my black Trans Am from 1977. We're going to go on a joyride. So that's the equivalent of Tommy Fleetwood and his wife. Interesting. Thank you, Will Haskett, for that answer right there. Quick break. We shall return. My pick is Ludvig Åberg, Sweden. And more of yours coming up. Philo Beto chimes in, too, on how you should drink bourbon. We'll do that. Got a little anything goes after 6 o'clock tonight. Leads you up to the Pacers and the Timberwolves. Bottom of the 6 o'clock hour. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. All right, so every 2 or 3 years, you start seeing cracks in the paint on your house, and you dread the thought of climbing up that ladder, risking your own safety. You don't want to do that anymore. I don't blame you. So here's what you do. You call my friends at Rhino Shield right now and never, ever paint your house again. So Rhino Shield is a ceramic coating specifically formulated for this unique climate. And unlike traditional painting contractors, Rhino Shield is a long-term solution that breaks the cycle of repainting every 3 to 5 years. It is great on brick, wood, metal, whatever you have, residential or commercial. Rhino Shield to the rescue in over 1,100 colors. Whatever you're looking for, they have at Rhino Shield, plus a great deal right now. You mentioned my name. Say, hey, JMV sent me, 888 Rhino 41, 15% off the regular price with a Rhino Shield right now. That's 888 Rhino 41. Mention JMV sent you, 15% off that guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield's regular price. Do that right now. 888 Rhino 41. That's RhinoShieldIN.com. Residential and commercial. Don't paint, no vinyl. Go Rhino and never paint your house again. That's Rhino Shield. Hey, John here for Premier Weight Loss, the 2 Indy area locations to serve you. That's 317-643-4444 on the north side of Indy, and in Fishers at 317-567-9100. Get started on your weight loss journey today at Premier Weight Loss. I'm going to go up for a monthly check that is part of the norm. That is what helps you keep goal-oriented, to find out what you're doing, how you're doing it, and if you're maintaining, if you're doing well on it, or if you need to make maybe some dietary adjustments or some lifestyle working out adjustments or whatever on a monthly basis. I go up, I talk to Sam. Sam checks things out on the whole body scope, and you find out, no lies given, exactly where you are. It's a very important part of the component and how you end up reaching your goals of weight loss, of health, of how you feel. All can be had with my friends at Premier Weight Loss. They keep track. They make sure that you reach your goals. And if you want to get started today, give them a call. Tell them I sent you. 317-643-4444. Sam and Lauren and Thomas can help you get started on your very own weight loss journey today. GLP-1 weight loss injections weekly, monthly visits to make sure you are on track, on course, and you are goal-oriented, and a new life, or really an old life, turning back the clock, feeling good again, being healthy again, all can be had with Premier Weight Loss. Ask about the electronic toning machines, the skin tightening, the Botox they offer as well. Cosmetically speaking, they have you covered too at Premier Weight Loss. Tell them I sent you. That's PWLND.com, PWLND.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
I don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. We got a little Anything Goes coming up here after 6 o'clock. So I saw this. You guys have asked me Jeff Teague, the head coach over there at Pike, the former NBAer, has a podcast. It's called 520 or 420. Hell, I don't know what it is. But it was mentioned where Jeff Teague brought up he would rather have, from the Hawks, Jalen Johnson right now than he would Tyrese Halliburton. Jalen Johnson is a spectacular, multitasking, stat-stuffing big guard for the Atlanta Hawks, and he's had a fantastic season. So this is not stating that, as a lot of people around here were obviously offended or felt offended by it. I would suggest don't be offended by it. He's 2 years younger than Halliburton, and mind you, he's a much different player. I would say this. For what Atlanta has accomplished this year, he is the perfect lead, the perfect guide to it. But you have to remember, this is also about what is perfect for you and your organization. And make no mistake about it, Tyrese Halliburton has been perfect around here. Even if you have questions about what he is going to be upon his return next year, what this team is going to be, because mostly we expect them to pick up where they left off, which is probably impossible for them to end up doing, but I'm just telling you that is going to be the expectation. Jalen Johnson is a talented player. Tyrese Halliburton is perfect for what they do here. Johnson may be a better rebounder. I don't know if he's going to be a higher clip scorer, and he's not going to be a higher clip assist man. But what Halliburton does for this Pacer team is what makes people believe this Pacer team can be what it was a half away from NBA title winning last year. if you're going to compare big and talented guys in a new era at a point guard or a big guard position, that's one thing. But if you're going to look at it in terms of what is a great elite level all-star fit that makes absolutely everybody better and what makes the Pacers better and what you believe in with the Pacers, there's no contest. I think we all understand that. And you can always compare one guy to the other, and that's fine. But in this case, we all understand what is perfect here, and what is perfect here is going to be Tyrese Halliburton. All right, anything goes coming up on the other side. I don't know. You can catch that, whatever that podcast is. I just know that everybody around here is ready to be offended by Jeff Teague. I don't really care, but since you asked me, I will bring it up and make sense out of it more than I'm assuming what anybody else might. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Anything goes on the other side at 239-1070. Got about 7 minutes of anything goes coming up. Pacers, Timberwolves, bottom of the hour. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Look up idiot in the dictionary. You know what you'll find?
Picture me?
No. The definition of the word idiot, which you f***ing are.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
A little anything goes coming at you. Back in studio tomorrow, Thursday. Behringer's, our friend Rob, and hopefully all of you on South Meridian coming up on Friday. I'm assuming, I don't know this to be true, that their new outdoor area is going to be open. And it looks like, what's the weather forecast, James? Look that up really quick when you get a second. Weather forecast later on this week. I believe the temperature is on the upswing from the way that it looks. Weather-wise, later on this week. What's Friday look like?
Friday is 70 degrees, but there is a 71% chance of rain.
No, that's all. Big chance of rain, so it looks like it's going to be inside time. 71% chance of rain. All right, give me tomorrow's forecast. Tomorrow on Thursday.
Tomorrow it is 70 degrees and sunny with only a 1% chance of rain.
Okay.
Looking like a good day for that. And then Thursday it is 77 and sunny.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It is time to mow. I got to get somebody out there and treat my lawn, too. I think me and my friends, the Dandelions, have had enough of one another. Lawn treating time. The text line at 317-239-1070 or anything goes. JMV, James, you should always go after 6 o'clock. I know you guys won't read this aloud. Too late. But I could care less hearing about whatever Ballard has screwed up lately during the Colts Daily Update. Sorry, Matt and Casey. I speak for a lot of listeners, fellas. Thank you. The other Nick. I believe I saw, too, where our friend Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, is going to be hosting another Indiana sports trivia deal. And I think that is going to be at the Bulldog coming up here. Hey, speaking of the golf outing, I mentioned that too. We are winding things down because we're almost full. So make sure you log on and you're a part of it, 1075thefan.com. But I heard from our good friend Tim Dietrich of Callaway Golf where he wants to be involved. So maybe some Callaway golf gear from Timmy D would be great. Thank you. And if you have yet to sign up, do it now to make sure you can still be a part of it, 1075thefan.com. That is the fan golf outing coming up April the 30th. Legends Golf Club, Franklin. Ted Bishop, who is down there, is going to join us on the show to talk Masters later on this week. Meantime, 239-1070, it is Anything Goes. And speaking of Anything Goes, here's our friend Fulton. Hello, Fulton.
Hello. Hello, John. How
Fulton,
you
you're out in the wind. You've got some wind out there, buddy.
Practice tonight. I got track practice tonight.
Track practice. Are you running right now?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy lately. We went to see that Super Mario Galaxy movie.
You are always busy, buddy. Always.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I heard you have Pat Sullivan coming on this Friday.
Pat Sullivan, and we're going to fire back up hashtag Ask Pat coming up on Friday again, I believe. So how about that? Yeah. See,
I'll be ready for that. Yeah.
Well, last year the Pacers went so deep with their playoff run and their finals run that we had to hold that up until that was over. So I don't think we got started until late June last year. This year, we're going to start more here in the springtime. So Friday at Behringer's on South Meridian, the return of hashtag Ask Pat with Pat Sullivan, your friend.
Yeah, that'll be great, John. I've been trying to get ready for the musical coming up soon. So,
yep. Keep that voice. Keep it in good voice. Do you got some exercises on your voice? Oh, la la la. Can you do that? Is that what you do?
Something like that.
Okay.
But we don't have rehearsals tonight and this week because next week I have to go on Sunday for a new deal for Christmas. It's the new one we're doing now. So
always busy, buddy.
I got to switch on over. Yep.
All right, buddy. Well, get back to track practice, okay? I don't want people looking at you like you're not practicing. You're on the phone with me right here. Get back to it.
Yeah, I'm going to prom this year on the 17th.
Well done. Going to the prom.
Yeah,
Thank you, buddy. Get back to track practice. That's our friend Fulton right there, track practice. Is that how you warm up? Oh, la, 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 la. That's how Barney Fife did it. Barney Fife did that at Andy Griffith's show when he was getting ready to sing.
I think that's close enough.
La, 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 la. I think Mrs. Poultice was his singing teacher back then. Voice coach. James, great job out of you. Chris Welsh, Reds TV, Reds Marlins, 6:40 later on tonight, not too far away. Reds, winners of 4 straight. We'll see if I'm a bad luck charm with that. Drew Storen and Field of Dreams All-Star Whiskey, available at Big Red Liquors. You're going to love this bottle. I don't care if you sip it or you drink it, but there apparently is a criteria to it. Sipping the Field of Dreams All-Star Whiskey. Big Red Liquors, tell them I sent you for that. Drew, thank you. Greg Rakestraw as well. Back with you in studio tomorrow at 3. Pacers, Timberwolves. Pat Boylan's got you next from the Fieldhouse, 6:30, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Have a great night.